What's up, everyone? Welcome to GameFace, episode 334 on Sifted Games at sifted.net. I'm Shane Satterfield, your host for the next couple hours of gaming discussion. Alongside me to do that is Matthew Kyle. What's up, Matt?
Much.
Swimming through LA.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, it's really crazy what's happening. I know we probably talked about it at the beginning of every show, but what is happening here is nuts. It will not stop raining. It will not go back to normal LA temperatures. It's crazy, Matt.
Yeah, it's very cold.
It's just bizarre. Like,
as John Green said today on his vlog, it's cold. It's been cold for a while. It will always be cold. Back to you in the studio.
I mean, it's pretty bizarre what's happening in California right now. I mean, I've lived here for 23 years now almost. I've never seen anything like this. It's really weird.
Mm-hmm. It's an atmospheric river.
Yeah, the third one that's come through. It's really nuts. Hope you guys are doing great wherever you guys are. And I know we have viewers from all over the world, literally all over the world. I saw that a couple folks in our chat before the show started asked if we had turned our clocks forward over the weekend, which we did. I completely forgot because someone else posted on Twitter starting the show a little early. And I was like, no. Mm-hmm. But I guess in Europe, they didn't actually jump forward this time?
The rest of the world doesn't really do this anymore, if they ever did.
So we're going to have a different time from everybody else for the next, 6 months?
About that, yeah.
That's weird. So we're going to change, is my guess.
Eventually. Marco Rubio, and the one good thing he's ever done, he tried to introduce a bill to end it a year ago.
Yeah.
And it passed the Senate, but then it died in the House because no one could decide on which time to stick with. The answer, by the way, is this one. It's summer's time. Like, you stick with the time that gives you more daylight.
So it doesn't start turning dark at 4 p.m.
Right, right. I was like, well, what about the children and going out to school in the dark? Well, then maybe the school should start later.
Yeah.
I don't understand how I got to school at 7:30 in the morning my whole childhood, because I can't get up by 9 some days. Especially not after the stupid spring forward thing.
Yeah.
But, so they reintroduced the bill again, and it will probably... There's a chance we may... spring forward again next year and never do it again.
Toriantil is saying that in Europe it changes in 2 weeks. That's weird. Why would they do that?
Well, I mean, it's completely arbitrary, so you just do whatever you want.
It's just weird that it wouldn't be coordinated together with other parts of the world. Because obviously, even for our little stream here, it's kind of causing issues. People are like, wait a minute, why is GameFace happening already? So for the next 2 weeks... GameFace is going to be starting an hour earlier for our folks in Europe than it normally does, which is weird.
I don't know who actually decides that, but they don't care.
Who doesn't care? Whoever decides it doesn't care?
Who that is, I don't know. It was not the farmers. No one knows why daylight savings really happened. Because the farmer thing is like an urban legend, basically, which is ironic because farmers are not urban. But, if you go back and look, the farmers aren't mentioned when they're passing the daylight savings stuff back in the day. I don't remember what the deal was with that. Because, it doesn't matter what time it is to a farmer.
It does. They get up before the sun comes up anyway.
The sun comes up no matter what. The sun doesn't care what time you think it is. The sun is coming up, and you got to go milk the fucking cow.
Farmers are always up way before the sun comes up anyway. It doesn't really matter when the sun comes up to them. So, farmers, I don't think it has anything to do with it. But anyway... Here we are talking about changing times for GameFace. Well, I promise you we have games to talk about today. I will say this, though. We do have a bit of a shorter show
Daylight Savings Simulator. Here we go.
We're going to do some daylight savings time here on GameFace today. We do have a bit of a shorter episode. It has been a slow week in games, and that's one reason. The other part of the reason is that Matt and I are going to record an episode of Spoiled, which we haven't done in forever here on Sifted, for Season 1 of The Last of Us. So... Now that all the episodes are out there, all 9 episodes, Matt and I are going to record basically a spoiler cast for the first season of The Last of Us. And that probably won't go up tomorrow with GameFace. It'll probably go up the next day on Thursday. The other thing, too, is that we're not going to stream that live. When we finish GameFace, we're going to take the stream down because I don't want somebody stumbling upon our stream while we're sitting there spoiling everything about The Last of Us. They could just pop in and be like, and Matt and I could say something that's a very pivotal moment from the show, and it could spoil it for them. So we're going to finish GameFace, we'll end the stream, and then Matt and I will record Spoiled offline. But all our patrons will then get spoiled probably on Thursday. So look for that. I'm really excited, by the way, because I think a lot of people would like to do a big in-depth discussion about that show because for obvious reasons for us being really into games, but also it was just a really good show. So look for that on Thursday, the archive of that. And again, we will not be streaming that live. I think that's it. I don't think we have any other housekeeping going on right now. We just put up an episode of Ask Shane Anything. And we'd like to do that more often, but unfortunately, we're not getting enough questions from you guys. Now, to be fair, you have to pledge at $7 or more per month to ask questions for the show. Everybody gets to watch it. But you have to pledge at that tier, the Ask Shane tier, to ask questions for it. So keep an eye out. We're going to be asking for more questions soon. So any of you guys who are pledging at that tier or higher, thank you very much, by the way. So generous of you. If you are, keep an eye out for that. And please ask questions. I really love doing the show. Honestly, it's kind of crazy, Matt, but like with our patrons, Ask Shane does more views than Pactor Factor. Now, on YouTube, Pactor kills it. But with our audience, Ask Shane Anything does more views than Pactor Factor. So you guys like it, but we need questions to keep the show going. So the last time I asked for questions, I got like just enough to do 2 episodes. I'd like to be able to get enough questions to do at least like 3 or 4. So again, if you're pledging at that tier or higher, look out for that, and please ask questions. And again, you can ask me anything you want, within reason. Don't get too personal. But anyway.
Now they've asked you everything.
What'd you say?
They've asked you everything.
You think they've asked me everything already?
Well, they should specifically ask things they know you don't know.
Yeah.
At this point,
yeah.
just about like questions about like plastics manufacture and like.
Well, we are at episode 59. Went up today, and they have asked a lot of questions. I'll say this too, like. The quality of the questions is not suffering at all. You guys ask great questions. We just need a higher quantity. So if you could take a minute to do that when you see those posts, either at patreon.com/sifted or you see it at sifted.net. If you could take a minute to ask some questions for that, that would be great.
Yeah, there you go. Soon. Nolan Bozo Zone has one for you. What is virtue?
What is virtue?
What is virtue? There you go. That's your next episode.
Ask it, and I will answer it. I already have the answer. I could answer it right now, but I'm not gonna.
See, that's the trick, is you got to change the name to Shane Knows Everything.
I do not. I do not. I wish I knew everything. I do not. I think a big part of enjoying being alive is learning, and learning from the people around you and stuff like that. So I definitely do not know. I'm not even close to everything. I'll do my best to answer all your questions, though. Let's take a look at chat, actually. Got some action going on here with some Twitch Prime and other fun stuff going on. We're already hype level 2 of the hype train. That's awesome. Thank you guys. Let's see what we got here for Twitch Prime. I know I saw something really early here. There it is. Stolty69. Thank you for Twitch Prime. Again, guys, you can give us a free $2.50 every month just by going to twitch.tv/siftedgames and subscribing with your Amazon Prime free subscription every month. It makes a big difference for us. So if you could do it, that would be great. Time Zini, thank you for Twitch Prime. Don Lionheart, thank you for Twitch Prime. 56 months, that's amazing. He's talking about the time change there. David Nordic, thank you for Twitch Prime. Hope you're doing good. Andy T. Monahan subscribed to Tier 1, 35 months. 31-month streak. Thank you, Andy. That's awesome, man. Aussie Brit 2000, thank you for Twitch Prime. Not Cirque, thank you. The Big Smoke 82, I upped my pledge so I can join in on Ask Shane Anything. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Nikes Toil, thank you for gifting all these Tier 1 subs to our community. I don't remember him ever doing that before.
I don't know.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much.
I don't remember if we had chat from that Aussie
Brit. He's been in our chat a bunch of times. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen him before.
I was going to say, he's been there for a long time.
Yeah, yep. Cinetyke Virtue is subscribing with Twitch Prime. There you go. That's actually a great way to put it. Thanks to everybody who's on the stream today. Hope you guys are all doing great. You're having a good Tuesday.
Nike's Toil is a her.
Oh, it's a her.
You're welcome.
My apologies. My sincere apologies, by the way. And the funny part was, Matt, almost every time I've talked about someone in our chat on this show for now 334 episodes, I have always said him or her, knowing that chances are 99.9% that it was a he. And today was like the first time I was like, you know what? It's probably a he, and I'm going to just say he, and I was wrong. That's the way it goes. Anyway, Nike's Toil, I really hope you'll accept my apologies. I did not mean anything by it, and I promise I'll never do it again. I swear to you. I will always say
Nix Étoile. I get it.
Nix
Okay.
Étoile.
Night Star.
Oh, okay.
I think Cinetech's right.
I hope I remember that next time, so I say it correctly. But anyway, welcome to the stream. And let's see, we got some housekeeping to get to before we get to the show proper. A lot of it, actually, today, which is good, because it was a slow week in games for big topics. First up, Matt, I'm really starting to wonder here. Starfield was delayed to September 26th.
Well, I mean, kind of delayed. Like they said, I know they said first half of 2023, but it never had a date. So
it did have a date, 11/11/2023.
Well, yeah, but that was already delayed. It was already delayed from that. It was just floating nebulously, and I was hoping it was going to be June, but it wasn't. That's fine. It's fine.
Is it?
Yeah, that'll be out it'll be out this year.
I don't know.
I do. It'll be out this year.
It's starting to make me a little nervous. Again,
I'm not. I'm nervous about the next one.
Okay.
Well, I'm not nervous because I don't give a shit, but I'm nervous because it's on my fantasy team.
Oh, right. Yeah, and Starfield's on mine, and I'll be honest with you, I am a little nervous about Starfield.
You shouldn't be nervous about Starfield.
I don't know, man.
Maybe you should be nervous about the condition it launches in, but don't worry about coming
out.
No.
I don't know. I am not 100% confident about that. But to Matt's tease, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was also delayed again. However, it was scheduled for May 26th, and now it does not have a release date at all.
Don't ever say that our reactions don't matter, I guess, because
they are saying,
I don't know if I've ever seen a more universally negative reaction to something, to a game being shown.
Now, according to Jason Schreier at Bloomberg, as Matt alluded to, it is a direct result of the negative reaction to its first ever in-game footage, essentially. Like, we had seen in-engine stuff cut together in trailers. The latest piece of media was the first time we saw what the game was actually like to play, and reactions were overwhelmingly negative. And so now, WB has decided that it's going to delay the game indefinitely. Do you think it's coming out this year?
I bet they'd like it to, but I don't know if it will. I don't know. See, that's the thing.
What are they going to fix, Matt?
Well, that's the thing. Is like, I don't know what you do. I mean, I guess you remove the game as a service elements.
I don't think people weren't really even complaining about that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, they were?
Huge.
Oh, I missed that.
Anger over that.
Oh, okay.
Huge. Even though it was just the same old, skins and costumes
cosmetics
and stuff. No, the people are furious about that.
Why?
I don't know.
There's a lot of other stuff to be angry about.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, that wasn't even my top 10 complaints. It was just no. I mean, I don't know what you do. I mean, unless you are going to use time travel to go back in time and make a Batman game instead, I don't know what you do to fix this. Like, this is what it is. Like, you're stuck.
Emperor Dread in chat says, I said the same thing. Oh, it will come out last year. And he's actually talking about Starfield. Oh, okay.
I mean, there was pretty good reason to think that when they put the date in the trailer in CG, they're pretty sure. And they do love that 11/11/11 thing.
Yeah.
There was someone, I can't remember what the date was, but there was someone who said they should have, what was it? I think it was like in October? No. Yeah, it was in October. They said they should have released it October 22nd, because then if you counted that from 2022, it would be 22/22/22.
Oh, okay.
It'd be the 22nd month of 2022. I'm like, that's clever, but I don't know.
Obi-Wan 9000 says WB is canceling projects, so this may not make it at all. Yeah, what projects is WB canceling?
Not games. They're canceling shows.
He's saying Warner Brothers in general.
Warner Brothers in general is making some very strange choices.
Gotcha.
My guess is this is too far along to kill.
It's coming out eventually. It's not going to be canceled.
Yeah, it'll definitely come out. They finally realized that this isn't the game anybody wanted. And now they're probably trying to figure out what to do with it.
Should have called the Duh Consulting Agency.
Well, the other thing, of course, is there's no evidence of this really, but I very much believe the reason this game takes place in Metropolis is they're reusing the assets from the canceled Superman game they were probably working on after Arkham.
It's very possible.
Because there's no way this took 7 years.
No way. No. I agree with that 1,000,000%. There's no way they've worked on this for as long as...
But I don't think there's anything else you can do. I don't think...
Yeah, how do you fix it? You're just going to have to take your lumps and
release it. You have to make a new game.
Like,
you got to make sure it's good. I think in terms of, technical performance, you got to probably get rid of the game as a service stuff. But, I mean, the game is the game.
Yeah,
maybe it changed some of the purple weak spots to green ones. I don't know, like just for variety. I don't know, like.
Yeah. Very Gooster says, I really think people just wanted a basic co-op action game without any of the loot baggage. I don't even really see the like baggage. Like it's just cosmetics. Like,
well, the loot baggage is a separate thing because that's not the game as a service stuff. That's the fact that it's, another looter shooter where you're picking up a breastplate of fortitude, whatever, and it's like 0.03% better than your last one. That style of gear upgrading is basically kind of out of fashion now. Like people are tired of it. Like you can't do the Destiny style, like this one's 4 Grievouses better than the last one thing. Like people don't want to change their boots every 5 seconds. Just give me some meaningful upgrades, or make even better, give me crafting components to let me upgrade things that I'm already wearing. That's probably the wave of the future. And you definitely saw, even in the live chat when they were demoing it, and as soon as you saw the menu screen where they were swapping out the armor parts, everyone in the chat was just like, boo. People, that was a problem in Gotham Knights as well. Like, you weren't swapping out everything like that, but you were constantly crafting new stuff. And I don't care what they say. I know they said, there was never going to be paid microtransaction. I'm like, there's that crafting system does not make any sense unless you were planning to have it be a microtransaction. Like I don't care what they say.
Yeah, that's a lie. Absolutely.
And so who knows? Like, there's nothing you can do to make this game a different game. But
no, it's too late. It's way too late. The Legacy asks, is Suicide Squad throwing good money after bad at this time? If they are, in fact, investing more money in changing the game at this point, yes.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean they supposedly had a long DLC support thing planned with new characters, and I was like, why? Like, and like, there's already knowledge that like they were thinking about adding Green Arrow because he's still alive in the world somewhere, but then they decided not to because DC wouldn't let them give Green Arrow a gun, and they didn't want to design a bow and arrow system just for one character. So right there, you're like, we're stuck with gun characters in this game forever. You're never getting
developers were lazy.
Well, they don't want to design a whole new system.
It's kind of being lazy, isn't it?
Well, it's not worth the money it would cost to just do it for one character that would not be a DLC character. If he was going to be a main character in the main game, that would be one thing. But if that, it doesn't make cost a cent. But it's like if the
game were a smash hit, it would make sense.
But they already hobbled themselves on that just because you decided to give everybody guns, even the super strong Mega Shark person. Like, why has he got a minigun? Like, why isn't he just punching shit and jumping around and doing area of effects stuff and slamming the ground? Like he can do some of that, but it's like, none of them, like, it's not interesting. Like, if you wanted to be a character in a superhero universe, I really doubt most people would want to be the Punisher, because that's who most of these guys are.
Yeah. Erebus Jones says WB just needs to get this out and take the loss and move on.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah. Like,
it is what it is.
Get it out, let it hit the wall, and then announce that Rocksteady's making a fucking Batman game.
Yeah, and everyone will celebrate, and they'll forget about Suicide Squad.
I'd even celebrate, and I hated Arkham Knight. Yeah. Like, I'll take Arkham Knight 2 over this shit. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Let's see what else the chat's saying. Erebus follows up with, how hard is it to just make a Batman game?
Yeah.
I mean...
And not even Rocksteady. Why didn't nobody do it? Why didn't anyone make another Batman game? Why? Why didn't you just have Montreal make a fucking Batman game? Why didn't you get one of your other...
I don't know what's going on
Like, it's a solved problem. Like, all you need is a competent developer, and they can just make an Arkham game. Go.
Sounds like a job for the consulting agency.
Because I also don't think Gotham Knights would have been lambasted as hard if it was Batman content to play in the meantime.
Yeah.
Like, the problem is here that this is the first...
This is the replacement.
This is the first content we're getting from this universe in games since, like, 2015.
Yeah. From the developers people want the game
from. It's garbage this here, and now this, it seems even worse. Like...
It's not looking good. One Super Master Gamer asked, is this the end of the game as a service bubble? Actually, that is an episode of Pactor Factor that just went up yesterday, I believe, on YouTube.
That is a big question right now.
And it was live for our patrons like a week.
Somewhere out there, Sony is starting to sweat a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm not going to answer that because I don't want to put words in Pac's mouth. You can go watch that episode. But I mean, asking us, what do you think, Matt?
I think the tide is definitely turning. I think it'll be a few years before you see a result because of these, games take a long time to make.
Yeah,
and so
we kind of talked about this about Rumbleverse and some of the other games.
You can't always strip that all out, and it's interesting that the reaction to this on Suicide Squad was so bad because usually people just seem to ignore like the buy cosmetic.
Whatever.
It's okay, whatever. It's not even really multiplayer.
That's why I was surprised to hear that people were angry.
No, people were very upset about it. And I was like, I mean, part of it was because they called it a battle pass, which I'm like, that doesn't really make any sense.
Sends up some red flags.
Which it doesn't make any sense. It's like not a multiplayer.
It's not a free-to-play game.
Shooter game. It's not a free-to-play game. You're just getting outfits. Like there's no
Call
battling.
Call of Duty has a battle pass. Like a lot of games Call of Duty makes more sense because
Call of Duty is a competitive multiplayer game. It makes more sense to call that a battle pass. Like. There's no battle involved in this. It's just costumes. Like it really. I mean, you see that in that menu screen, and you're like, oh, what were they originally planning for this to be?
Yeah.
You know,
it ain't looking good, folks. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
Ironically, Suicide Squad's going to have to be sent to die.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it should have committed suicide ultimately.
Yeah. I mean, I think they will. I mean, it's not great.
Here's one from Steel City Noob, fellow Penguin and Steeler fan. What's up? Hey, Shane, would you ever consider having Marcus back for an episode, or are you guys not in touch anymore? No, we're still in touch. We're totally in touch. We're still friends. We'll be friends until the day we die. He's actually doing a podcast now with another friend of ours,
Ray he's doing it with Ray Padilla, yeah.
But yeah, we'd absolutely love to have him on again. The weird thing, I've talked to Marcus about doing a show with us a bunch of times, and like I think my timing has just always been off. Every time I seem to go to him, something happens. Like, the last time I was serious about it and we started talking about actually doing a show, he had another health issue. And that's been something he's been working through for a few years now. But he is doing better, by the way, in case you're wondering. He's actually doing pretty great.
Yeah.
He's recovered pretty well from his heart condition. Now he's fighting cancer, and he's miraculously, so far, beat cancer.
Yeah, he's like a year and something past
amazing.
The date they gave him.
It is. It's amazing. But he just started doing a podcast with this other mutual friend that we have. I was shocked to see it, honestly. I was like, bro, why wouldn't you come to me first? But I don't know. Maybe he thought that because I had tried to pitch so many things to him that never worked out, that maybe he thought I wasn't interested anymore. But I was absolutely interested. So we'll try to get him back on GameFace, or we'll do something with him in the near future or whatever.
We got an extra chair here.
Yep. We got this empty chair sitting here. Luna doesn't use it. She sits on the table. So yeah, we'll try to figure it out. Buff the IPs. Why pick Suicide Squad? They're like D tier. I mean, that's a good question.
Because I think the reason is because they were expected to be popular and pushed. Because at the time they originally teased the Suicide Squad, which was back in Arkham Knight days with the Blackgate Arkham Origins is the first game to tease that really, and the end of Arkham Origins a little bit. That was going to be the next hotness because that was the movie was supposed to blow him up, just like Guardians of the Galaxy made Guardians of the Galaxy a big deal. And I mean, to be fair, Harley Quinn, that is kind of unfortunately that's kind of the default version of Harley Quinn in the pop culture consciousness now. But that's really the only impact that had. But it was because they expected Suicide Squad to be a bigger deal than it was. Yeah. And then I don't think it's a coincidence that the lineup in this new game is very, taken directly from the lineup from James Gunn's Suicide Squad, which was a much, much, much better movie than the first one, but was not a hit, really, at the box office. So, yeah, we don't really know. I don't know why DC and Warner Brothers seem to think Suicide Squad is the ticket on so many things, but they do. Like, that's... I would
agree with Chad. Like, I don't get it either.
No, I mean, I've been very vocal about how that is not a game I care about playing. Mm-hmm. I don't even like the old comic. I mean, I know Suicide Squad from back in the day. Like, Task Force X is a boring comic.
I always thought it was a great name. I was like, I should probably like Suicide Squad, and then I would try to read it, and I'd be like, eh.
No, all Suicide Squad, especially back in the 80s when they were doing all Suicide Squad really elucidates is that DC has really bad villains.
Yeah,
like they are forgettable nonsense villain. Like it took me years as a kid to make an actual difference, to figure out what the difference was between Deathstroke and Deadshot.
I'll put it to you this way, Matt. Right now, I cannot name two of the characters in that game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you know Harley.
Right.
And I assume you know King Shark.
Yeah. The other two, I don't know what their names are.
You don't know Captain Boomerang?
Nope.
Or Deadshot?
Nope.
Yeah. That's the thing.
That tells you all you need to know. And we've been covering this game for like 3 years here on GameFace. I still don't know two of the characters that are the lead characters in the game.
Well, that's like the thing is even Gotham Knights' premise is like, okay, like maybe Gotham Knights didn't turn out to be a great game, but at least if you can see the appeal of like someone might want to play as Batgirl or Robin or Nightwing or whatever. Like find me the child whose dream has been to play as Captain Boomerang. Like, no one gives a shit about this. And then you're not even using his boomerang. So you're using a gun, but you use his boomerang for his special moves. But who cares? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yep. Kevin Rafa asks, would you rather play in complete Gotham Knights or play Suicide Squad?
Gotham Knights. No
I
question.
don't know. That's a tough one.
I'd rather play Gotham Knights because I actually care about those characters to some degree.
I would agree. I definitely know the characters in that versus the characters that are in Suicide Squad.
Like when I play Gotham Knights, I am disappointed in it, but like I can at least focus to some degree. When I watch the videos for Suicide Squad, I want to get up and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like there's not a single thing that appeals to me in any of it.
Minority Games asks, is Gotham Knights getting more content?
It is, apparently. It actually just got a big update that did actually fix a lot of its performance problems on console.
Good. Okay.
So I actually loaded it up last night to see what it was, and it does run a lot smoother now.
Good. They're continuing to work on it.
But I forgot how to do anything, and so I got killed in the first fight I was in.
Yeah, that happens when you go back. Cinetype says, it also feels like they succumb to trying to cover all the bases and appeal to the biggest possible audience by making gameplay as generic as possible, killing the interest. Mm-hmm. It's a tightrope to walk, particularly when you're dealing with IP that, like this, it crosses over into the mainstream. You got to be careful. You don't want to make it so complex that the casual fans who might want to pick up the game because they like Suicide Squad is turned off. But
yeah,
I don't know if there's a big audience there.
I mean, you're aiming at Harley fans.
Yeah.
But even then, for a co-op shooter, you got a problem because it's like everybody's going to play Harley.
I dated a girl one time. She was a gigantic fan of Harley Quinn. Should have been in the Red Flag. Mm-hmm. I should have talked to the Red Flag consulting agency before dating that girl because she was exactly what you would expect a girl who loves Harley Quinn to be like. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, let's move on to the next piece of housekeeping for today. Xbox Showcase coming June 11th, Matt. Mm-hmm. Microsoft is having its E3 press conference on the same day and same time it always used to have its E3 press conference, but it is not a part of E3. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that, Matt? About these companies bailing on E3, but still trying to do their stuff around E3 to get the pin action without investing in it?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah, fuck the ESA.
Why would you say that about the ESA?
You're a useless group. They're not a worthwhile lobby group.
Oh, you don't think they do a good job lobbying for the industry?
Not at all.
Okay.
I would support a replacement for them.
Okay.
For sure. And I think they screw over the developers and the publishers and charge way too much for booth space when it's certainly not warranted anymore, if it ever was.
Why do you think that the ESA hasn't just acquiesced and been like, okay, well, we'll lower the booth cost for this? Why do you think? I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, right?
You'd think.
I mean, is it maybe that they really are just charging what they have to charge?
No, because they get that convention center for almost free.
Do they?
Yeah. They get it for $1.
Really? Just because of all the...
They used to. That deal, I think, went away during the pandemic because everything got kind of reset. But for a long time, from what I was told by people who should know, for a long time, LA just gave them the convention center for $1 in exchange for how much revenue it brought in the surrounding businesses in the whole area.
I mean, that makes sense, actually. At least when E3 used to be big, it made sense.
But even back then, they were trying to charge people $10 million for booth space.
For the big booths.
For the big, front or the upfront booths, like EA and stuff like that, which is ridiculous.
It is, but if you really think about it, it's a drop in the bucket for these budgets.
But they could just spend that $10 million on their own video and control the message completely.
They can, yeah.
And not have to compete with all these other companies that are there at the same time.
Yeah. I think it's a little dirty to leave E3 and then try to kind of be a scab.
I think they're doing E3 a favor.
I guess that's another
They're actually making it look like things are happening around that stupid, worthless convention now. Because that's what it's become.
Yeah. I mean, now it is.
Let's see them make that worthwhile for the amount of money people need to start. That's the other thing that I don't like. If it was just it's still an industry-only thing, and it's just sort of shrinking and kind of like what GDC did a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just sort of shrinking and not becoming as relevant. That'd be one thing. But they're trying to charge the general public to go to this thing now, and no one's going to be there.
Well, now it's going to be hard because if the big three aren't there, are people going to travel?
If Nintendo's not there, what are people going to do?
Is there going to be 19-year-old me traveling to E3 on my Mecca trip? Probably not anymore.
And Nintendo's pulling back on everything. I mean, there was they announced this week that not that it should have surprised anybody, but it did, that Tears of the Kingdom is not going to be demoed at PAX East. which is like, duh. Like, what do you? Why would you think? When Nintendo goes to
they
PAX,
figure if Nintendo's not having a booth at E3, they're like, well, they're going to have to show Zelda before
no, they're not.
It releases.
They absolutely do not,
and they're not gonna.
I mean, they'll do a direct, obviously, but they don't need. Like, and I was like,
I have a feeling we might get a demo of Tears of the Kingdom. You don't think so?
Not a chance.
Really? How come?
Because that game is as bulletproof as games gets.
It is, but I mean, why wouldn't you just make a demo?
Because they don't have to.
Yeah, I think we might.
Never. They will never do that.
Wow.
No.
I don't understand what the detriment would be to it.
There's no point.
I mean, they've been working on a game for 8 years.
Doesn't matter. It's going to be the biggest selling game of the year, probably.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter. They don't need to.
It'll be interesting to see if it can beat Call of Duty.
Man, I loaded up my Wii U this week because I found out that apparently Wii U's will brick if you don't use them.
What?
A certain amount of time. People have been finding. Like, I've turned my Wii U on for the first time in 7 years. It doesn't work anymore. It's got a memory error and you can't fix it and the thing's dead. That's it. It's over. So I'm like, oh,
what?
I guess I'll go check that out. And
was yours okay?
Yeah, it turned out fine. But I was like looking around to see like,
was that a one-off or was that common? Did other people say they had a problem? Really?
It's been happening.
That's scary, man.
Like it's recommended you try to make a backup of your Wii U.
What the hell?
Because like then you can like put it back. It's some kind of memory thing with a controller, with a gamepad. But mine was fine, and I poked around at things and looked. Yeah, last time I turned it on was December 2018.
That's way. I mean, for me, it's way earlier than that.
Well, I looked at the little log thing, and I turned it on December 2018, and I looked at the eShop for like 5 minutes, and that was it. And then like if I go back again another year earlier,
before when Switch came out.
That game, that system has been turned on 3 times since I moved into this house.
Wow.
Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean that's about right.
But it's been plugged in the whole time.
Yeah.
So I went on the eShop to look around and see if there's anything. I'm like, maybe I'll pick something up, whatever. And I was like, well, maybe I'll get the Zelda HD remakes or whatever, because like I don't have those digitally, and that would be. I never even opened the Wind Waker physical copy. It would be nice to keep that sealed because that's gonna be worth something someday. I was poking around, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll look at this, or I'll go pick up Wind Waker. Wind Waker is still not Wind Waker. Wind Waker was actually $19.99, but the Twilight Princess HD remake is still $50.
Yeah,
and like
doesn't surprise me at all.
What was the other thing that was there? There was another game, one of their other first party games. It was still $60. It's like 7-8 years old, and it's still $60. I'm like,
surprise me
Nintendo
at all,
doesn't
man.
care.
It really doesn't
Nintendo does not care. Of course not, because Nintendo won't give you a break if they do not need to give us a demo of Zelda.
The other thing too with the Wii U is that most of its good games have been moved over to the Switch now. There's very little reason to play a Wii U anymore.
Yeah.
Are there any games left stranded on
Xenoblade Chronicles X. There's 2 main ones. Xenoblade Chronicles X and
I can't think of it.
What was the other one? There's another one.
Oh, Pokken Tournament? Has that come over yet?
Pokken Tournament. That's the one that was still $60. I was like, how is that still $60?
That's crazy.
Yes, that game is still trapped on the Wii U, but I mean, it's not like I particularly care.
It's not a great game. Wonderful 101.
No, that came to the Switch.
Yeah, they made that.
That's
they made that for Switch. Yep.
A bunch of things actually.
Yeah, that was from Nolan Bozozone.
And no, it was actually it was the Zelda HD remakes. Okay. Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD are still trapped on them. I mean, it's like I don't know why they haven't.
They'll do it.
You'd think.
You'd think.
You'd think they would have done it by now.
Yeah, you would think. So anyway, Xbox technically not at E3, but absolutely at E3, doing its usual, and it's good for us, obviously, covering E3 that they're going to have a huge Xbox press conference because we can't really count on that anymore. As we found out with our E3 coverage for the last couple of years.
For certain definitions of huge.
What?
For certain definitions of huge.
Yeah.
Press conference.
I think it'll be big.
We'll see.
It should be. All these studios, man, they should be ready to start showing some stuff, you'd think anyway. Another story from this week. Steam Deck just hit its 1-year anniversary. Now that we're a year past it coming out, Matt, do you still have no interest in this at all?
0.
Yeah. I'll admit, when it came out, I had a little bit of FOMO when I started seeing people posting videos of them having it. Now that the dust has cleared a little bit, the FOMO's gone. Mm-hmm. I don't see a lot of people.
I have no use case for this.
I don't see a lot of people on social media saying like my Steam Deck is invaluable. I don't know how I live without it. Like
I see some of it.
Do you?
But like I don't have any need for this at all.
Yeah.
0. Like I have a very powerful computer and a very good monitor,
have no need for it.
And I have absolutely no interest in playing inferior versions of those games on that. because I certainly wouldn't take this anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's huge and heavy and expensive, and I wouldn't want to lose it or have it stolen or anything.
Yeah,
like, I would never. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't. It's so expensive for what it is.
It's still really expensive.
I mean, it's kind of like the PSVR 2, and it's like, yeah, you're getting your money's worth in terms of what the hardware they're giving you is, but I just don't have any use for it.
My PC is to the point now where it might be an upgrade to have a Steam Deck. My PC, I built it when I launched Sifted, so that tells you how old it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you got to share your TV or whatever, if you're talking about, like, you know, on top of each other in a family situation, yeah, it makes a lot more sense. Like, I get it. Or if you're constantly traveling and don't have time to sit down and play something at home, much sure. But for me, this has no purpose at all. It's a neat little hardware trick. They can cram that on there, like, that's cool. That you know, but I have no interest in paying for that. I'd try some ones if they handed it to me.
The thing about Steam Deck that makes it different from other handhelds is it doesn't have these benchmark game releases that bring it back into the lexicon.
Right, it's just a platform. You don't need it for anything.
Yeah, it's never going to get like this exclusive game that everyone's excited for, that everyone has to buy it. It's just this slow burn forever.
Like even the Vive/Index had Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, it had a couple games here and there where you're like, oh wow, this is like a flagship.
This is just another
game,
way to do something.
A pivotal moment for the platform.
And you either do want to do it that way or you don't.
Yeah, it doesn't happen with this. So it's like once you have your initial sales
but it's doing very well.
Is it still selling well?
It's selling very well, from what I understand. Yeah. Okay. So it definitely hit. I mean, it's doing better than VR.
I couldn't find numbers for it for its first year to figure out how many it sold in the first year. I searched around for a while. I couldn't dig it up. So I don't know exactly how well it's done. I don't know obviously, honeymoon period, you're going to sell a lot more. I don't know how much it's fallen off over time as far as monthly sales. But I also haven't seen people like saying, oh, I couldn't live without this. But Matt, I also haven't seen anyone saying, I feel like I got ripped off or I regret buying it. So you're probably right. It seems like most people who have picked it up have been happy with their purchase, but they're just not maybe screaming it from the rooftops. So
yeah, I just know if I had one, I would never use it.
Yeah,
I would. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I wouldn't use it.
Yeah, I hear you. And then another piece of news from this week, and this is a little disheartening. Russian hackers have hacked video game developer GSC Game World. They're creating Stalker 2. They are located in Ukraine. They have been a part of Russia's sort of invasion on Ukraine. They've been dealing with it for a while now. They had to delay their game because of it. They finally got development on track, and then a Russian hacker hacked them and is trying to extort them by saying, we're going to ruin the game for everybody. We're going to put up all the cutscenes from the game. We're going to ruin the story for everybody. We have all your personal emails and your addresses, and we're going to release that.
Well, I guess the good news is that the story of Stalker really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's real. I mean, really, Matt, let's be honest. The big concern here...
The concern is the privacy of the
targeting
developers.
the developers, yeah. This is real, by the way. This isn't something that's funny or that you just laugh about. This is real life. These are real people being threatened by other real people who are wrapped up in a real war.
So that's total war.
Yeah.
Like they're even on this level. So, I mean, hopefully they have the backing of Microsoft on some of this in terms of, like, cash reserves to help fix some of this.
But, I mean, I don't think there's any fixing if somebody hacks your stuff. Like, they're going to put it out there. They are not going to negotiate with the hacker, by the way. They've already said, no way. Just put the stuff out there.
The ship has sailed.
And so you're going to see, and I would argue, and I would request this of you, that if you do see the leaks out there from this Russian hacker, that you do not watch them. I can't make you do anything, but I can ask you, and I would ask you that you support this studio and you do not consume the leaks when they get out there, because they're going to get out there. This is horrible, Matt. These people are just trying to make a video game. It's crazy what's going on. So anyway, send all your positive vibes to the people at GSC Game World. They're trying to finish this game in the midst of all this insanity, the invasion that's going on, the hack. So let's send them all the positive vibes and hope that they can get this game done. And ultimately, they all end up being safe. That's really the big concern here. And then finally...
Or as safe as you can be in the middle of all that right now.
The insanity that's going on right now. And then finally, the last kind of small-ish story, Doug Bowser this week, who is the new head of Nintendo of America.
It's an ironic name in video game
it is.
Executive wings.
It certainly is. I've never met another person with the last name of Bowser, and it just so happens that he is the new president of Nintendo of America. He did an interview with a publication in Europe called the Daily Mail, and he said in the interview that he foresees Switch doing very well for the next several years. What does that mean to you, Matt?
It means they do not want to give you a hint that a new system is coming until you buy Zelda.
Is that what you think it is?
Yep. There's another system coming.
Well, of course. Yeah.
And also, Switch is going to continue for several years. They are not going to push you to buy the new one over the Switch because they're going to be compatible.
Right.
So it won't matter. Like, the Switch will continue to sell just like their old handhelds did forever.
Just sent up
the
alarms.
Switch Lite, in particular, can go years beyond the release of the next Switch or next system, whatever it is.
It made Nintendo fans very uneasy because they took it as, we're not getting we're definitely not getting a new console at the end of the year this year. I think
you're not getting a new console. No, you might hear about it by the end of the year.
And then I think a lot of people
it's not coming out this year. Yeah, that's crazy.
I think a lot of people assumed that it might.
No, that was.
I
never
agree
in
with
the
you.
cards.
I think best case scenario always was early next year.
Yeah, whatever the next system is going to come out in March.
Yeah,
it will be. They hit it out of the park with that March release date with the Switch, and they are going to do that again. No question. Yeah. That is when they want to release.
Yeah, so I don't know how much weight I would put in what Doug said. I've known Doug for a long time, but he was always kind of one of the underlings at NOA for most of the time that I knew him. He definitely earned his place there. He was there for quite a while before he was promoted. He's a good guy. And he knows how things work. He knew that what he said, what it was going to do, is my point. Which...
They are not going to hint. They are not going to hint at a new system until Zelda has made its millions.
Yeah.
They don't want you waiting for the next system to buy that game.
So you can play it at 60 frames per second.
Yeah, so you can play it the way it's probably meant to be played, frankly. Much like the first one.
Yeah, it was the same deal. It launched for both consoles.
Yeah, but in this case, they want you to buy it twice, probably.
Yeah, they probably do.
But if you announce, a new system, we're going to talk about it later this year, there's going to be some people that hold off on Zelda because they're going to wait to play it on the better version, and they don't want that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone should assume that what Doug said means that we're not going to get the Switch 2 until 2026 or 2027.
No, we're not. It's not going to be 10 years of Switch.
No. But I do think that if you buy a Switch now, it's going to be viable for at least 3 or 4 more years.
Oh yeah, they'll be backwards compatible for a long time.
And that is what Doug was trying to do. He was trying to keep people from becoming scared of buying the current Switch. Mm-hmm. That's really the method to his madness. He's like, we can't stop the Switch train. We need to make sure people keep buying our hardware. Mm-hmm.
If anything, you should take it as a good sign that our libraries are going to move forward with us.
Yeah, I think it's encouraging.
Because that's concerning.
Yeah,
with Nintendo's history. Booting the Wii U up this week definitely renewed that irritation. It's like, look at all these virtual console games I have that I don't have anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And then they haven't even gotten all of them on the fucking the Nintendo Online console, whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff that I have on the Wii U that still hasn't made the jump to Switch.
Yeah. I think Vincent mentioned in chat that Pokken Tournament actually did make it to Switch. So it really is just those 2 games that you had mentioned.
Yeah, so the Zelda remakes and Xenoblade Chronicles X would be the last things that I'd like to see.
Yep.
Make the escape.
Yep. So yeah, if you haven't bought a Switch all this time,
and of course Devil's Third.
Yeah. If you haven't bought a Switch all this time and you're like, I think I'm ready to finally buy one, but now Doug Bowser's made me don't worry about that. You can buy a Switch right now and you're still going to be satisfied with your purchase. It's going to be viable for many years to come. If you're somebody who has an old Switch and you're thinking about either upgrading to the OLED or saving your money for the new Switch 2 or whatever the hell it ends up being called, I would say maybe you should upgrade to the OLED.
I would say there's no reason to upgrade to the OLED, but...
so I don't play a lot handheld. Mm-hmm. I finally did play a couple games handheld in the last couple months, and it does make a huge difference.
It does make a huge difference, but as someone who doesn't play handheld, there's no other advantage.
Yeah.
I would just wait but I wouldn't buy anything Switch hardware related until we see what they do by the end of the year.
Yeah, because I think they will announce.
They're going to start talking about it.
Yeah, I think that they'll announce the new hardware before the end of the year. We'll see. Yeah, but that's what
I wouldn't surprise if that was a Game Awards thing.
Yeah, that would be huge. But I think that's probably a good spot for it.
Yeah, I mean the Game Awards are about big enough for that now, and Keeley's relationship with him is good, so that would probably be my expectation.
Yep, wouldn't be surprised. Okay, that's it for housekeeping. Before we get on with the rest of the show, here's a word from our sponsor. LS Cream is a fine cream liqueur created by fellow gamer and sifter Stevens Charles. It's inspired by an ancestral recipe from Haiti called Cray Mass, and a double gold winner for its original taste at the New York Wine and Spirit International Competition. LS Cream can be enjoyed on the rocks or as a mixer for drinks with its rich blend of fresh cream and neutral grain spirits with notes of coconut, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg. It's great in coffee or to make espresso martinis. To learn more, discover amazing drink recipes, or to track down your own bottle using a handy store locator, head to creamls.com. That's creamls.com. All right, people, head out and get your LS Cream right now. Go to creamls.com. There's a store locator there, or you can just go and learn about the product. Again, this was made by a sifter and a fellow gamer. Support your fellow gamers. Support your fellow sifters. You ready to do the show now, Matt?
Yeah, I guess. We're 45 minutes in, we can start the show.
Yeah, well, it's good that we had the housekeeping go that long because the rest of the show isn't that long. It has been a really slow week in the games industry, but there was one pretty big event, and that was Capcom had... The timing's a little weird, Matt, honestly, for Capcom to have its Spotlight with E3 kind of right around the corner. Also, don't forget, Matt, how we have tried to cover Capcom's E3 press conferences the last couple of years, and they've been complete duds.
Well, yeah, I do think you need to let go of the E3 mentality. Yeah. Because it's not weird that they're doing
it. It doesn't seem like it matters anymore.
Well, no. Well, because also Capcom would rather go all by themselves than have to fight for mindshare the week of E3. Like, so they can... Everybody's paying attention to Resident Evil 4 now, so they're going to tune in. They can slip in whatever else. Not that they had anything else particularly interesting to talk about, but
So Capcom had a little Nintendo Direct. It was supposed to showcase all the games that are coming out in the first half of 2023. And as Matt just alluded to, there wasn't a whole lot, but there was one thing that was really freaking awesome, and that is that Capcom released a Resident Evil 4 remake demo. Not only did it release a demo for the game, it was basically the same exact demo that Capcom released back in 2004 for the original Resident Evil 4. I still have the demo disc for Resident Evil 4. I was in Japan.
Yeah, I think I have that somewhere.
In 2004 for Tokyo Game Show, and I got that disc, if I remember correctly, at a Lawson's convenience store. There was some weird, goofy thing you had to do, and you could go into Lawson's and you could get the demo disc. And I got it, and I still have it. I don't know if it's worth money at this point.
Maybe. Like, you'd be surprised it's worth. You know what I found in a book, in my bookshelf that's worth money now? Rock Band Van Halen.
Really?
That little, like, in a sleeve. Yeah. It's like in a wrap. It's, shrink wrapped in a sleeve because it was like an upgrade. You can just import Van Halen. Apparently that's worth money now.
Interesting. Well, I played the living crap out of that original Resident Evil 4 demo. And again, I had a GameCube, still have a GameCube, with a Switch on it, so I could play Japanese software on my GameCube. And I was very happy to come home to the United States with that demo to be able to play it on my GameCube. I played the crap out of that. And Matt, we get demos all the time now. Back then, demos were really rare. Like, you could get them in, like, official PlayStation magazine, and that was pretty much it.
They were not as common as they were in, like, the PS1 era. Like, PS1, you could get demos every month from, like, 3 different magazines.
From magazines, yeah. But, like, you couldn't just download them back then.
Oh, no. But, like, all demos were like that.
Now, demos are a dime a dozen.
Or they were shareware.
All the time. And usually what happens is, I play them once and I'm done. And, Matt, I played this demo, like, 5 times. This demo is effing amazing. So I got hooked on it. I played it like 5 times. Then I started going on YouTube, and holy crap at the stuff that's hidden in this frickin' demo. It's insane. There are people that found parts of this world I didn't find. Like, I was just trying to survive. And people kept playing it over and over and got so good at it that they just completely whooped the demo and just found every little nook and cranny, every weapon, every grenade, everything. It's amazing how much they packed in this and how much thought went into this. And again, I'm sitting playing this, and it just totally took me back to 2004 and how I was this giddy kid at that point. I was a young man back in 2004. How giddy I was to be able to play Resident Evil 4 before everybody else because I was lucky enough to go to Japan and get the demo. Here I am, fast forward almost 20 years, Matt. which is crazy to think about.
I played it. I played it that Vegas thing they did a year before it came out.
Yeah,
and no one really knew anything about it then. I remember coming back because I was the only one who went to that, and I came back and I'm like, Resident Evil 4 is fucking amazing, everybody. And you were like the only one who believed me.
Oh yeah,
like everyone else was like, it's Resident Evil. I'm like, no, it's completely different. Like, and then that demo came out, and I was like, oh, it is good.
The other thing, too, is that people found there was a harder difficulty setting. So if you keep rebooting the demo, after you do it like 7 or 8 times, a message will pop up that'll say, do you want to play this on like this uber difficult level? Like there's
is it Guitar Hero Van Halen? No wonder I never opened it.
Oh.
I was over Guitar Hero. By that
I hardly ever played Guitar. Yeah. After the second one, I hardly ever played Guitar Hero again. Because Rock Band came out, and it's like, exactly, why would I play Guitar Hero after that? Justin Horman says, I played it until my knife broke, then shut it off. What? Why?
The limited knife thing is annoying. But you find other knives.
I'll be honest with you, I never had the problem. So the first time I played through this, I did not even try to do like the parry and deflections because the demo doesn't tell you about them.
Mm-hmm.
And then accidentally, I tapped the L1 button during combat, and I saw him do this weird move, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a parry.
Mm-hmm. And I knew he did that because of the trailers, where he does that several times. So I'm like, okay, like I knew that was something, and like it's necessary at times if you're cornered.
Oh yeah, you can get cornered in this demo big time. But anyway, I didn't even do it the first time I played through it. I didn't even use the deflect or any of it. And the second time I played through it, after I discovered it, then I started using it. And so if you do it perfectly, it will stun an enemy, and then you can deliver a shot. If you don't do it perfectly, it still stuns the enemy, but you can't immediately fire off that extra shot after you stun them. So,
sometimes you can kick them.
Yep. Well, I mean, this game, just like the original RE4, you play it the same way. You headshot someone or you shoot them in the leg, and then they get a little white arrow above their head, and then you sprint up to them and you roundhouse kick them, you stab them you finish them off, basically. Mm-hmm. And it's all context sensitive depending on where you are, your location to the enemy, if the enemy's laying down, if they're on their knees. That all plays into what ultimately happens to finish them. Whether you just do a roundhouse kick, whether you stab them in the head with your knife, or some of the other finishers that were in the demo. There, I tried it at first. I'm like, oh, I'll shoot him in the knee, and then I'll...
Yeah, as with all the remake Resident Evils, the zombies are way tougher
than
they used to be. Like, having been replaying Resident Evil 2 Remake a bit this week, I'm just like one of the zombies took 14 shots to the head. And I'm like, that's wrong. Like, that's not how that should work.
This demo is all about crowd control. Because it's very easy to get caught inside a building and have like
I'd forgotten some of it, because I'm like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. And then I was like, oh, wait, I'm just supposed to run around until the bell rings, right? Like, I was trying to figure out where I was supposed to be. And I'm like, oh, no, I just stay alive. I've forgotten so much about this game.
Well, I mean, so people have become experts at this demo.
I mean, yeah, obviously people are going to... I mean, I played this demo twice.
Yeah.
And for a very different reason than you did.
You started on an Xbox, right?
I started on Xbox, and I found it weird and squirrely, and he was too clunky to control, and I was getting caught by people constantly, and I was like, it didn't feel good to play at all.
By the way, what I was getting at earlier was my knife never broke. So I played it 5 times. I never had the knife break.
It breaks after like 5 uses.
Really?
Yeah.
I never had that happen.
It's more resilient than it was in 2.
Yeah,
that much.
Yeah.
No, so I would try to shoot a guy in the head, and when I'd correct for the recoil, the reticle would bounce over his head, and I'd miss, or I wouldn't be able to hit him in time before he charged me. It was very frustrating.
That's weird.
And I was like, what the hell? And I was so irritated by it that I Googled it, because I was like, this doesn't feel even as good as the original at this point. And I Googled it, and it turns out there's all this weird dead zone problems with the Xbox version, and by extension the PC version, that the PlayStation version doesn't have. And the
bailout. I still love that scene where he jumps out the window.
There's comparisons and graphs on like the acceleration curve of even when you turn the options up to faster and stuff. I'm like, that's weird. That's interesting. So I went and I downloaded the PS5 demo instead, and I played that night and fucking day.
That's so weird.
It's like playing a different game. I hit every headshot. I got through the whole thing with no problem whatsoever. No one ever touched me. Like, it was playing a completely different game.
Wow.
And people are like, oh, it's been like that.
Hell?
Like, they've had that problem on a lot of the Resident Evil remakes for some reason. Like, the Xbox and PC dead zones are different than on PlayStation 5. PlayStation 5 feels better. And So I went, so I went, and because all the Resident Evils are on sale right now everywhere because of the Capcom week and because Resident Evil's coming up and all that stuff. So Resident Evil 2 was like $10-15 or something on PS5. So I'm like, okay, I'll try. Like, I'm going to buy that and see if it, because I played it on Xbox. Originally, I played it on Xbox, and I liked it, but I did notice that the aiming was a little squirrely. I just thought it was like part of the game. I was, it's like that, the classic, this is, we're talking about the series where originally
the controls don't suck.
Oh, the controls don't suck.
Intense.
It's because it's scary and like, no, the controls just suck. Like, it's not scary that I can only aim 3 places and 2 of them are useless. It's just annoying.
There's the dog, by the way. You find it dead.
Yeah, that dog.
I don't think that's permanent. That dog is going to come back at some point in the game, I think.
But like I downloaded Resident Evil 2 Remake and I started playing that again. Night and fucking day. Like I'm past where I got in the Xbox version like in half a day. I'm like, this is way better. I mean, I already liked Resident Evil Remake a lot too. I thought it was a huge improvement and really great. But the PlayStation version is even better. I'm just like, oh, look at this. All the fucking aiming works properly. I had no idea.
That's so weird.
I had no idea.
That's bizarre. So as of right now, we're telling you the PlayStation version.
PlayStation 5 or like I guess PC with mods. Maybe, I'm sure you can address that in mods. You can't really do that on the Xbox. But yeah, having played both of them, and I'm going to have Shane play the Xbox version before he leaves just to make sure I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
But like,
how could they not fix that?
I don't know. Like maybe they don't think it's broken, but it feels broken.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as good to play as I mean, I don't think I'm imagining it. There's like literal like full videos showing like representations of the controller dead zones and how they're different, and like the acceleration curve of the reticle is different, and it's like weird. I mean, it's weird in Resident Evil Village as well. Apparently, I kind of want to replay all the Resident Evil stuff on PlayStation now to see if like one of the reasons I didn't stick with them is because like the aiming was annoying and I couldn't fix it.
It's bizarre.
So yeah, like I will be getting this on PlayStation apparently.
Who would have thought? I mean, again, I don't understand how they wouldn't fix it before.
I don't know why they're not identical. Like, why not just make them all the same? Weird. It's weird that they're different at all.
It's really bizarre. Yep.
Yeah, so that was my investigative reporting for the week. But yeah, I played it once on Xbox, kind of struggled through that, and then I played it on PlayStation and really enjoyed it way more. And I was like, oh, okay. And then like I found the shotgun. I did not find a bunch of the other. I found some grenades. I didn't find
There's an SMG down in a well down underground that you can find.
Yeah, I didn't find any of that. I didn't kill the chainsaw guy.
I didn't either.
I didn't even know you could do that.
I played it 5 times. I couldn't kill him.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that until you said so.
But I watched YouTube videos where they killed 2 of them. They played it on the harder difficulty setting and killed 2. I couldn't kill 1. I mean, I laid into him, and he was just like, whatever, bro. Like,
But I'm kind of like, okay, like I'm good. I'll wait until the game comes out and it counts. Yeah. It's not like you can import your save on this.
Yeah,
thing.
this one it doesn't. Also, did you notice the opening cinematic is different? Like it does. Maybe the final version will have it, but there's like you don't see the guys you're riding with. Oh no,
they skip that from the demo.
You think they just skipped the cutscene?
Well, because the first thing he says is, "Let's figure out where they went," which makes no sense if you haven't seen
they're there. They show him getting burned at the stake.
Right, but he says, "Let's figure out where they went."
Yeah, it's weird that they cut that cutscene out.
It's just less to download.
I guess. It seems an odd choice to me, but anyway.
That happens a lot.
This demo is the shit, by the way. Like I said, I played it like 5. I never play a demo more than once. I got hooked on this demo and just kept playing it. And then was so hooked on it, I kept watching other people play it to find all this other stuff. Nightwing 3060 says, you can parry the enemy fist and cut their arms off. I didn't see that at all.
I did that once, and I didn't really know what I did.
Yeah.
I'm sure they can get good at that. You can also sneak up on people and stab them to death before they even see you, which is a new thing. Although there's an element of like, the first time you can do that is off to the left here, where that woman's like kind of like raking the yard or whatever, and I'm like, Leon, how do you know she's evil? I mean, obviously they're all Las Plagas. They're all we know that, but Leon just sneaks up on a local woman and just stabs her in the neck, and that's the end of that. I was like, okay, like I guess, I mean, I know that he just saw them burn a guy to death, but maybe she doesn't agree with that. I don't know. Like,
I watched also a YouTube video where somebody translated what all the Ganados are saying through the whole thing. He just walked around and would get next to the Ganados and just listen to their voice samples and translated them, and they're creepy AF. This is sweet, dude. I don't know if I'm more excited for a game this year now than this game, honestly, Matt.
I mean, I'm definitely more excited for other things, but like, this is certainly the best translation I think we could have expected of this game. You know, they've pretty much nailed it.
I mean, I was also surprised how true it was to the original.
even having not played it in forever, I'm like, oh, all right, there's that house is there, and the bell tower's over there, and the church is over here.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was like, it's all recognized. Even the buildings you come across on the way to the town square are like, oh yeah, I remember this little shack thing and all that. Yeah. There's little tweaks here and there and changes, usually in terms of the cutscenes. Like I think the way he interacts with the first guy in the house is different. Like
it's way different.
Like in the original, he doesn't even try to speak Spanish. Yeah, and this one he does, and
the guy just swings an axe at him immediately. Yeah. And this, it's like it plays out a lot longer, as you saw in the B-roll as you're watching earlier. But yeah, you get trapped easily. Like if you get into a place that only has one way in or one way out, you could get in deep trouble where you're trying to force your way out of the building. It was intense, man. I just felt like I was on the edge of my seat the whole time playing this, even after I kept playing it. Like a lot of times, you play something like this, you get over it kind of. It doesn't have the same... I kept playing this, and it just kept bothering me, like, getting my heart rate going. Awesome demo. If you have not downloaded this demo, it's only for Xbox Series and PS5?
It's on PC.
And PC?
Well. Yeah.
Okay. But you do need a next-gen console if you want to play it on your console. This was great. Again, like, it's just... you could actually, like, after I played it twice, you could conceivably finish this in, like, 10 minutes. If you just skip through all the cutscenes and just run everywhere and know exactly what you're doing. But, like, the first time I played it, it took me almost 30 minutes to get through it. Because I was looking around and investigating and going through every nook and cranny once I got into the village.
There is a mod on the PC version that removes the timer so the bell never rings.
Oh, really?
You can just play it forever.
You can just keep fighting. I'm wondering if that's what some of the people on YouTube were using to be able to do some of the stuff they were doing.
Maybe.
They didn't mention it, like, at the opening of their videos or whatever. But I was pleasantly surprised by this demo doesn't do it justice. I was literally like blown away by RE4 all over again, and I cannot wait to play the full game. I've just, all the thought that just went into this little section, I'm just wondering if the rest of the game is like that. Because it is like, at least for this part of the game, they have hit the perfect sweet spot between making it a lot like the original, while still making it not feel old. Like, I didn't feel like I was playing a game that's 20 years old when I was playing this demo. Did you?
A little. I mean, he still controls too clunky for me.
Yeah.
But it's better. Like, he can move faster while he's aiming and that kind of thing. The only other thing that my only other criticism of it, and it's a criticism of all the RE remakes, is I do not like the plain white UI.
Oh.
Like, the fact that the button prompts, everything, is just like...
It can
blinding plain white.
Yeah.
It just feels very sterile for what this series is.
It can also get lost in the backgrounds a little bit too.
Yeah. I do like
that moment right there. Look at that.
I do like that the
I'm like, oh shit, here comes 60s and here comes Chainsaw Guy. That's my heart rate just jumped like 10 beats per minute, like immediately.
Yeah, and you have a very different reaction to this stuff than I do.
Oh, really?
My reaction is just like, oh, fuck you. Like, I'm like, it's just annoying to me. It's like, okay, there's a guy I can't do anything about. Now I'm stuck down this hallway, and I'll run past him and hope he doesn't like grab me and do the kill animation. There he does. Okay, let's do it again. Like, I don't find that scary. I
wanted to see the kill animations.
Like, I'm here to.
That's part of the fun of these games.
Well, the funny thing is, like, they took out a lot of the really graphic kill animations for the Chainsaw Guy, but not for the normal Ganados. Yeah. Like, I got one where they literally cut his head off.
Yeah.
Like, one of them held him down, and the other guy just took the hatchet and hacked Leon's head off. And I'm like, really? You removed the one where the Chainsaw Guy cuts his head off, but you kept that one? Like, that one was kind of worse.
You're right. They did remove the decapitation with the chainsaw.
Yeah.
I saw 2 different death animations from Chainsaw Guy. And
yeah, I only saw that. Like, I saw that one and the one he does the same thing from the front.
The front, yeah.
But like the Ganados have way more variety in how they kill you.
Also, by the way, the Ganados, if they throw stuff at you, you can use your parry on that too, and it will actually deflect the item that they threw back at them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm sure there's a way to unlock for like a subsequent playthrough an infinite endurance knife. And I bet that'll be a fun second.
Well, that'll be the first mod that everybody wants to.
Well, usually the other games you've been able to get an endless knife by doing something like the Resident Evil 2. It's shooting all the raccoon statues throughout the game, and you unlock an endless knife. Which on the first one, the original, the Xbox one, I learned the hard way that you cannot replace the knife, your standard knife, with that when you play again with it, because. You know, when you get the knife at the beginning of Resident Evil 2, you use it to cut the tape off that box.
Yep.
you can't cut the tape off the box with the unlocked knife.
Really?
You have to use the one that the cop gives you.
That's bizarre.
And I ran around with it, like, not understanding why I couldn't progress until I switched back to I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to be that way about it. I see.
The variety of the Ganados in the village, way more types of Ganados than there was in the original Resident Evil 4.
I was a little surprised no tentacles popped out.
Yeah.
Did that
Even
happen?
with headshots.
Did that happen in this area?
No.
In the original?
No.
I feel like
you still didn't really know what was infecting in fact, you thought it was some kind of cult, like religious, like supernatural thing when you played through this section.
I feel like rarely they would pop out in this area.
I don't think in this part, no. Because then after this, you meet finally the bald dude. And that's when you start to realize that it's actually another bio kind of weapon thing.
It only happens at night. That's right. Remember when you were worried that this was going to be at night?
Yeah.
Because the forest was at night? And I was like, no,
it turns out it's just at dusk.
I think the sun is just going to rise.
Yeah.
And it's daytime by the time you get to the village.
Yep, absolutely. I love this demo. I am hyped for this game. I can't even put into words how I'm excited I am to play this game again.
This is kind of the standard Resident Evil. It was the original demo. It's sort of the first thing everybody plays in the Resident Evil 4, and as it goes like, oh, this is different from, this is very different from what the other games had been so far when this came out.
Yep.
And like for me, I'm more interested in what the other later stuff. I want to see what the lake monster looks like. I want to see what the giant ogre things look like.
All of it.
Like, there's a bunch of other stuff in the game I'm more interested in than this section, which I find to be, it's a very promising sort of like, oh, cool, they nailed it. But this is not the most exciting thing to me. So running around trying to get away from guys with limited ammo is, because it's not how I play these games. I play these games very sparingly. I'm just felt like I'm being terrorized.
Every corner you turn, there's two more Ganados.
No, see, again, to me, I'm just irritated. I'm just like, fuck it, because again, in real life, you could push these people. You could kick them. You could it's too limited for me.
It does
get
a little awkward.
It's too limited for me to feel like really like immersed in it. So to me, it's me versus game mechanics more than anything else, which is fine. That's Resident Evil to some degree.
But see, notice like I turn around because I'm like, oh, there's 3. I turn around and there's 6 people chasing me. It's like those moments. You're like, oh shit, 6 people. Oh. Well, now what? You turn around, the 3 people, I don't know. Yeah,
whereas my reaction is like, fuck you, where did you come from? You weren't there. Like, you just spawned out of nowhere.
It's so weird that you play games like that.
I play horror games like that because they don't scare...
It's almost like you're trying intentionally to not get scared.
No, because I don't get scared. I'm not afraid of a video game, and mostly I find the horror conventions in video games to be irritating.
So you don't get scared by movies either?
No.
You never get scared by media?
No.
Why?
Because it's not real.
That's weird, Matt. That's not normal. You're the anomaly in that.
Sure, but I'm fine with that because it's not real. I'm not afraid of any of that.
Well, everybody knows it's not real. Do you think that people get scared by this stuff think it's real?
I don't know why they get scared by it.
Why do you have you ever cried watching a movie?
Yeah, because
how is that any different? It's invoking emotions. It's not, that didn't really happen, Matt. The person in the movie didn't really die.
Right.
But it made you cry. Why are you okay with crying but not scared?
I'm not okay or not okay with it. It just doesn't happen. I am not afraid of movie things.
Surely you can see where this is a little weird, Matt.
I'm not saying it's not weird. I'm just saying I don't react to this that way. I'm not afraid. I'm also not particularly afraid of things in real life that aren't an actual threat. Like,
yeah.
Well, people do. I mean, look, I can't tell you one thing. I went to a thing that was supposed to be like a haunted cocktail thing a couple weeks ago, and as we walked in, there was nobody in there because we were a little late. And one of the ushers was in the bathroom and coming out of the bathroom behind me, and she comes up behind me and screams right behind me, like full volume right behind me. And and the people I was with like jumped, and I turned around. I was like, "Oh, you!"
You mean jump scares don't even scare you?
A jump scare in if I'm in a movie like the Chinese theater with the big if a big bass hit happens, like I'll
I'm not even saying scared. I'm like startle you, like jump scares.
Yeah,
they do startle you.
Well, like if the bass is loud enough and it rattles me, like I'll react to that. Yeah, because it's a physical hit.
Yeah,
but like if I'm just watching TV like here and like on my TV and a jump scare, no.
That's a shame. I would not want to be like you. I like being like me. Like I like being affected by media. That's why I watch it. If I sat there like a piece of stone, like, why would I even watch or play anything? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it.
That's one of the reasons I don't care much about horror movies. It's because like they don't do the thing they're supposed to do to me. So the ones I like tend to have more to say or more to do, or like they're a really interesting like way or technical achievement. Like I think the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is cool because you're like they just did that.
Yeah,
they did all that in camera. It's gross, but like I appreciate the artistry on this. I like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies because they're creative and the kills are weird and you're like, oh, how did they do that? And then you'll see how they did it and they did it so great, so weird. It's like, oh, how did they do the thing where the bed goes? They just built a giant set and actually flooded the bedroom with that's cool to me. I like to see that, but it doesn't scare me.
Interesting.
The closest, although I will say, I think Freddy is the closest to a scary concept to me.
Did you say Freddy?
Yeah, something that can kill you in your dreams because you can't control it. Well, yeah, because you can't run away from that. Right. You can theoretically, if you got to a car, Michael Myers would not catch you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Maybe for a few years later.
Yeah.
Or It Follows.
Slowly walking all across the country.
I thought It Follows was creepy because
it was pretty good.
Not necessarily because of what it was, but because no one else could see it. No one else would necessarily understand what was threatening you.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's the idea. Alien. I like Alien because it's the metaphor is powerful.
Okay.
But yeah, in terms of things that are actually it doesn't. And so in games, I like Dead Space in part because Dead Space does not limit your movement and your abilities to the degree that you're hampered to in the name of fear.
Trying to create fear. Yeah.
It's no, just move.
Resident Evil is still a little guilty of that. It
is. I mean, 4 is the least guilty of it up to this point in this. I mean, maybe 5 and 6 even go even further with that. But I think they lost.
You can also use it to your advantage though. So as I played the third, the fourth, and the fifth time, and I started actually just being comfortable playing the demo, I started doing what I did with the original Resident Evil, which is manipulating the AI. Because the AI, if you could go into the building and go upstairs and then go out the window, out onto the roofs, they have to single file get out of the window and they'll all follow you up in there. And so I was jimmying the AI and the traversal myself. To take advantage of it.
You've always done that in Resident Evil. It's even in the remakes, lickers can't open doors. Yeah. So you open the door, hit it with a shotgun, jump back in the door. If you're low on ammo and don't want to risk it, or if the liquor's with zombies, you go behind a door, wait for the zombies to bust the door down, kill the zombies, then deal with the liquor on its own.
Or just use a grenade on the liquor.
That could do. Flashbang will work on the liquor.
That's one enemy that I'm you know what? I've been hoarding this grenade. I'm going to use the grenade on the liquor.
Yeah, but I also
annoying.
They are annoying, but also there's very few things more satisfying in terms of enemies in Resident Evil 2 than hitting a liquor out of in midair with a shotgun.
Yeah,
and then it's just on its back. And yeah. I just wish you could stomp them. That's the one thing I miss from Resident Evil 4 is the ability to stomp things.
Yep.
And Dead Space. Dead Space has the stomp, which is a nice touch.
I had a blast with this demo. If you guys haven't played it yet, I highly recommend going and giving it a whirl. It's not really spoilerific because it's one of the most iconic parts of the game that everybody knows.
Also, it's different every time, really. Yeah. So you can't really spoil anything.
Yeah, it changes every time you play because you never know how things are going to play out, whether you're going to get cut off, you're going to have to go a different way. And again, there's all these secrets in it too that we're not going to spoil here on GameFace. But if you really get into the demo, hunt around on YouTube and you'll find some stuff in there that you're oh wow. They really put a lot of thought and time into this. It's pretty impressive what they've done with this demo. So anyway, undoubtedly, that was the highlight of Capcom Spotlight. And then less important stuff followed. First up, Street Fighter 6. Didn't get a whole lot on this, Matt. Here's one thing I'd say about Street Fighter 6 is it feels like they've already run out of stuff to promote, and they have 3 months to go. Mm-hmm. So this one, they start out, they talk a little bit about there's a quick focus on the World Tour mode and the Battle Hub. And then the big announcement was that they announced the final color commentator. Hikaru Takahashi is the final color commentator for the game.
Sure.
And that's where they're at now with this. Is that they're
there's not much left to say.
That's nothing, right? That's nothing. They're oh, we have 3 months before this game comes out. How do we keep people interested? I don't know that they have the stuff left to keep people interested until then. It's kind of interesting. It feels like they kind of
I think it's
started a little early maybe on this game.
Well, luckily for them, I think that basically I think the conversation is going to be entirely about Resident Evil 4 for the next month and a half.
It's true. Yeah.
And then you're going into May and you're going to be hitting Zelda time, and you're not going to be able to get any Street Fighter hype in Edgewise during Zelda month.
Yeah.
So doing it now is kind of when they have to do it.
I guess.
Basically, you've shown your hand on this. Then you get to dominate the conversation with Resident Evil for a while. Then Zelda's going to take over for a month at least. Yeah. And then this comes out.
Yeah. And this comes out June 2nd, by the way, if you guys are wondering. Mm-hmm. Don't forget, it's PS5 and PS4, but it's only coming to Xbox Series X. It's not coming to Xbox One and PC. And Matt, Does
it run on Series S?
I don't know, actually. It probably does.
I think there's a requirement still.
My guess is it probably does, yeah.
Yeah.
But it is interesting, Matt. This is starting to become a pattern where third parties are releasing their games for PS5 and PS4, but only Xbox Series and not Xbox One.
Well, I mean, that's understandable.
Oh, I totally get it. But it has been, like, for a long time, publishers were like, we're going to continue to support the old Xbox. And now they're like, nope, not anymore. So it really does feel...
limits.
What'd you say?
There's limits.
Yeah. Although, I don't know, Gears 5 running on the OG Xbox One says there may not be as many limits as you think.
Yeah, well, we never know.
Yeah.
I doubt Gears 6 will work on the Xbox One.
I highly doubt it as well. So anyway, Street Fighter 6 coming on June 2nd. They pretty much just put it in there, so it was in there. So Capcom fans know that it's coming in a couple months. And
you kind of got it. Not mentioning it would be weirder.
It would be. You're right. So they didn't have anything to say, but at least they did show it. Next up, a game called Exo Primal, which is a cooperative dino shooter, basically. Don't ask me why they've created this new IP instead of just reworking Dino Crisis to make it work within this framework. But this
I
is
have
what
a hard
they've done.
time believing a remake of Dino Crisis in the vein of Resident Evil wouldn't do well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it would do exceedingly well.
Yeah.
Even if they wanted to try to do something like this, which obviously they're like, everyone's like, we need an ongoing game. We need some kind of a game that people can play and keep giving us money for the next 3 or 4 years. That's what they're shooting for with this. But again, there's no reason they couldn't have repurposed Dino Crisis to make it work in this framework.
I think that the main reason I think they didn't do it is because people don't want a new Dino Crisis
want the
remake. They don't want a reboot or some kind of new Dino Crisis permutation. They want Dino Crisis
remade. Yeah. Which I get it. I agree.
And look, man, Dino Crisis 2 is still really good, too. I mean, it still plays pretty well for what it is.
It does.
Because they turned that into more of a straight action game than a survival horror. And that's the thing, is like the concept worked for both thing. It worked for that kind of the more action game version, and it worked for the survival horror version of the first one.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre to me that they just won't do that. Like,
I mean, this game is bizarre. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me more of Dino Crisis 3 in the sense it's like, why is all the mech shit in here? Why do I have jetpack? It's such a strange thing to do with the dinosaur idea, because it's like, really, if you're gonna make a dinosaur fighting game, you're trying to capture the Jurassic Park thing.
Yeah.
You're trying to do the Jurassic Park game nobody ever made.
The fence broke.
Right? Yeah. And one thing we can all agree on about Jurassic Park 3 is that nobody shows up in mech suits.
Right.
So what are you doing?
I know.
Like, I think regular people with maybe some slightly advanced tech, like running around trying to, is more interesting than doing Anthem with dinosaurs. Like, okay, but okay, whatever.
Because that's a good way to describe it. That's really what this is.
This is what it looks like.
Yeah. And as you see there, it is coming out on July 14th. It got its release date. But the big announcement for this, and it makes a whole lot of sense, is that it will be available on Game Pass day one. This is one of those games that is custom made for Game Pass, because people would not give 2 squirts of you-know-what about this game unless they were going to get to try it for free.
At least it means I'll play it.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't pay money for it.
And so you look at a game like Outriders, it got a huge bump from being on Game Pass. It didn't survive, ultimately.
That is just silly.
Back 4 Blood, same deal. Like, it had a huge bump out of the gate with Game Pass. It's already dead. They've already announced they're not doing anything else for the game. So it's a brief reprieve, Game Pass, but it doesn't guarantee that your game as a service is going to live.
No, people still got to spend money on the microtransactions to make it worthwhile. Like, you got to keep it alive somehow. So
I don't have high hopes for this game, but the other good news is there is an open beta for it that launches March 17th, and it runs until the 19th. It will be available for everyone to play, so everyone's going to get a chance to give this a go. Obviously, on PlayStation, you actually have to pay for the game. You won't get it free on Game Pass like you do on Xbox. And this game is coming to PC, PlayStation 4 and 5, and Xbox One on July 14th. And again, it is Game Pass day one, and an open beta March 17th through the 19th. Next up, Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. We got to look at this not too long ago. We already had one trailer for this. They just released a second one. Not a ton of new information in this.
Whoa, that is some sprite smoothing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
For those of you who don't know what this is, back in the GBA era, Mega Man Battle Network was a huge franchise. In fact, they tried to emulate Pokemon sometimes, where it would have like 2 versions released at once with different colors for each one. They're turn-based strategy RPGs, but the grid, as you can see, is really small. It's like 6x3.
Yeah, and it's real time.
Yeah.
I mean, you're moving around in real time, in addition to choosing moves.
Yep. It was a unique kind of little spin-off of Mega Man that did pretty well on the GBA, but they weren't
they got a bunch. It was like 6 of them or something.
Yeah. Well, there's 10.
There's 10 of them?
Yes.
Wow.
So there's 2. So if you buy the physical version, you get all 10 games on one card. If you buy it digital, the games are split up, which is really weird. I have no idea why they're doing it this way. And one drop has 6 games, the other drop has 4 games. Again,
so they're counting the different versions as their own games.
Yes.
That's dumb.
Yeah, it is dumb. But, they're trying to make it seem like there's more value there than there actually is.
And they don't have I assume they don't have the action one. They made an actual, more standard Mega Man style game for the GameCube out of this. That was one of the hardest damn things I've ever played.
Yeah.
I could barely get past the first boss.
Yeah.
That's network transmission or something like that.
Yep. Yeah. These games had a cult following back in the day, back in the GBA era, which was the early aughts, so these games are pretty old at this point. They have done some stuff to them, though. There's a new high-res filter.
That filter is gross.
Yeah. There's an image gallery with over 1,000 illustrations. There's a music mode with a music player. This is coming to PC, PS4, and Switch. And as I said, if you buy the retail version, you get all the games in one. If you buy it digitally, they're split up. Interested in this, Matt? Minimal?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I did like a couple of these back in the day. I don't really feel the need to play them again.
Yep.
I feel this is for the kids who are 30 now and played them when they were young.
I mean, they're also very simple as far as strategy RPGs
go.
go.
You really should. You just need to play one of the later ones, and you got it.
I mean, I would recommend just buying Marvel's Midnight Suns instead, or something like that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, but if you want this, it's a lot of games, but it's they're all the same game to a large degree.
It's really hard to tell the difference between them, other than the plots, and those plots evolve real slow in those games. They take quite a while to finish. So, again, it's coming out on April 14th for PC, PS4, and Switch. Next up. Ghost Trick. This game is from 2011? Is that right?
It feels older than that.
Is it older than that? I thought it was a DS game from 2010 or 2011.
It was a DS. It was it was a DS game, and it was I think it's from the Ace Attorney team.
Really?
Or something. Yeah, it was a thing. It was a minor stir back in the day if you were into the weird DS Capcom stuff.
And there was plenty of it. It's a detective adventure where you play as a ghost trying to find the identity of your killer. It's a very unique concept and idea, and I'm kind of surprised that we haven't got more of these over time. Did you like this when it came out?
Yeah, I remember liking it.
It was kind of a thing. I remember our group of journalists or whatever, we were all kind of playing it and into it. I don't think it really did well financially, though.
No, but it did well enough that it's been ported to 30 different things. I mean, it's on everything.
Yeah.
Phones and I think it's on the Switch and all. It's persisted.
Yeah.
In a way that the world ends with you kind of hasn't.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
It's true. This is coming to PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. It launches on June 30th, so still a ways out for this one. But I recommend it to somebody who...
Yeah, if you haven't played it, it's worth playing.
Yeah. For some younger people who watch the show or subscribe to our YouTube channel, if you weren't around when these games came out, it's good. It deserves being revived.
If you weren't around in 2011, you maybe shouldn't be watching the show.
Yeah, you're probably right. Let's see. Next up, Monster Hunter Rise, the Sunbreak expansion. Here comes a big expansion for Monster Hunter Rise now that it's available on other platforms. I do wonder if Capcom regrets releasing this exclusively for Switch. It did pretty well on Switch. But I guarantee Capcom would have made more money if this was multi-platform right out of the gate. At least I think it would have.
It seems to have done okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's done well enough. I'm sure they've turned a massive profit on it like they always do on these games. Did you even play the base game, Matt?
No.
Yeah, I thought you'd skip that one.
I don't. I know that I don't like Monster Hunter. I don't need to play this anymore. It's gotten enough chances.
Yeah. I did play the base game for probably too many hours, but I really have no interest in this. For me, a Monster Hunter fix once every 3 or 4 years is plenty for me. Every few years, they release a new one. I play it for 30 hours or something like that. I'm like, yep, it's the same damn game with different monsters, because that's pretty much what they are. And my guess is this DLC will be the same damn game with different monsters. But if you're hooked into it, It's good that they're supporting it so much post-launch. If you are a Switch owner who bought it, like, you have to be really happy with your purchase at this point. If you enjoyed the base game, they just keep giving you new content. And because it was released on all these other platforms, now Capcom has motivation to keep releasing more content for it. So it'll be interesting to see when Monster Hunter World 2 is finally announced, when Capcom is finally willing to sunset Monster Hunter Rise and get ready to start revving up the hype engine for the next one that's going to hopefully be a PS5 and Xbox Series exclusive. That might be of the first real jump for that series in a while. Having the power of those consoles to build the world.
I mean, World was a jump.
Yeah. Like it was. Yeah, that's a good point.
It just feels so long ago now.
Yeah. Because they also supported that with tons of DLC after the fact. And then the final announcement in Capcom's Spotlight was Resident Evil Death Island. Can't show you any footage from it because it'll send up copyright strikes. I'll still never understand why we can't ever run footage of movie trailers or TV show trailers or Netflix trailers. All that stuff throws up copyright strikes. What? Maybe you have insight into that, Matt.
I don't know.
Why is that?
I don't know.
It's so weird. But, like, it's so... like
My guess is it's just easier to find because you know exactly what the video is.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the game footage, it's harder, especially if you're capturing your own.
Maybe. Yeah. It's easier to fingerprint, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and detect it. Maybe. But it's annoying, so we can't show you what Death Island looks like. But it is a CG film starring Leon Kennedy, Chris Redfield, and Rebecca Chambers. Do we need more of these, Matt?
I would say no, but whatever. I mean, I don't know who the people out there who think the interesting part of Resident Evil is the story. But, like, okay, why not?
I feel like most of the people who like this stuff are really young, like preteens.
I think they're really old, like people who never got over the 90s.
Really?
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being an adult and watching one of these and being like, I feel edified.
No, most of the people I know who watch these things are our age.
Really?
Yeah.
They're so bad.
Yeah.
Like that most recent Resident Evil series that launched on Netflix, I couldn't make it through the first episode.
Oh, that was terrible.
It was so bad.
And I do recommend getting far enough in that you get to see the line, it's you, Wesker. You're the evil resident.
Really?
That's a real line. That's a real line in that show.
Okay. What episode was that?
I think it's the finale. I think it's the final episode.
I definitely never would have made it there.
You're the evil resident is an actual thing a human being says on camera. So
yeah, it is kind of funny because I did feel like for a while, and actually today's Ask Shane Anything that was published this morning, it's almost all about like gaming-based TV and film. For whatever reason, you guys asked a ton of questions about it. So I've kind of already touched on this earlier today, honestly. I filmed it yesterday.
I love that there was the whole thing about with people talking about like, oh, Last of Us, totally the best video game adaptation ever. And a couple people were like, no, the best video game adaptation ever is Pokemon.
Detective Pikachu?
No, to the anime, like the TV series. And I'm like, they didn't even get Pikachu's design right in the show. Like they had to change Pikachu's design in the game to match the show because the show was so different. What are you talking about?
Well, sadly, like
it's not like you had to really also like Ash isn't even the kid playing the game. Like that's no.
Well, like the Resident Evil movies, because forever gaming movies were just abysmal. But the ones that were like passable were the Resident Evil movies. What was the girl that starred in those? Not Mila Kunis.
Mila Jovovich.
Mila Jovovich. They were like passable.
Multipass.
They weren't good.
They were not passable past the first one.
Yeah, you're probably right. Actually, yeah, you're right. But the first one was like, I watched it and was like, I was only moderately offended.
I kind of mostly recognized that, yeah. And then I think I saw them up to 3, and like the one with Nemesis in it, and that was enough.
Yeah, and now ironically they've been lapped. They're like the worst gaming
It was just
movies.
her husband making movies for her to be in.
Pretty much.
My best memory of Resident Evil movies is we saw the press screening of it in San Francisco when we were at Tech TV. I can't remember if you were there yet. I think you were. Yeah, it was X-Play era, so you would have been there. You would have been there. And we went and saw it, and we were sitting in the press section, and there's a critic for the San Francisco Chronicle named Mick LaSalle, who I always hated reading growing up because he has the polar opposite taste in movies of me, which does make him a useful critic.
That could be useful,
because if I saw like on the San Francisco Chronicle, they rated them with like it was a little man in a theater chair, and it was like it went from like him jumping out of the chair applauding for the top for like 5 out of 5 to an empty chair for like 0 for like 1 out of 5. And if I saw the empty chair from Mick LaSalle, I knew I was going to like that movie.
You go buy a ticket right away,
which makes him a useful critic.
It does.
Like, I don't have to agree with him to get information from him. But he's just one of those, like, he likes all the artsy, he likes, he likes starving whale movies kind of thing, and like he hates all the popular stuff. So as a kid, I was obviously like, screw you. You hate the Ninja Turtles movie. I don't like you.
That's funny.
But it's just waiting in, and Adam Sessler comes in and sits next to me. He's like, dude, you are never going to believe what's happening outside. And I'm like, what? He's like, Mick LaSalle is not. It's like it was run by two different PR companies. It was like Paramount and Universal. It was like two distribution companies. And he wasn't on either of their lists to get. I mean, Mick LaSalle should be on every movie list in San Francisco by default. Like
he was losing his mind.
So he was like, "No, do you not know?" He was literally doing the "Do you know who I am?" thing, which was for once justified because. And I'm like, "Oh, that's amazing!" And then, like 2 minutes later, Mick LaSalle comes in and sits next to me. Sits down next to me and Adam and me. He sits next to me, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" He's like, "I cannot believe this is the fourth movie. I do not need to see this bullshit." The man had just seen movies all day, and the last thing he had to do was watch this stupid video game movie, and he was not happy to have had to fight his way in to see a movie he didn't even need to see. And I'm like, this is the best thing that's ever happened in a movie theater.
That's great, man.
And then Resident Evil played,
and both you agreed with them.
We agreed with it. Yeah. Mick LaSalle and I were right there on that one.
There you go. So that's it for the Capcom Spotlight. Again, E3 is kind of around the corner at this point. My guess is whatever Capcom does at E3, if anything, who knows at this point if anyone's going to do anything for E3. But if it does, my guess is it will then focus on the stuff coming in the second half of 2023. So that's pretty much Capcom's landscape up until like June, July-ish, which means it has one big game for the first half of the year pretty much, which seems a little weird for a big third-party publisher. What's the second one?
Street Fighter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess that counts, because that comes June 2nd. Yeah, you're right. So 2, that's crazy. Think back to, like, the PlayStation 2 era. How many big Capcom games would release in a 6-month period back then? Like 12?
It was a lot. Yeah, they were just pumping them out at that point.
Different time.
To be fair, they paid a price for that eventually. They did. Like, you can only put out so many Chaos Legions before you got to come home.
Hey, thank God for Chaos Legion. That's how we got X-Play done every week. Games like that. Yeah. Like, I don't think we could do a show like X-Play now. There just aren't enough
Chaos Legion, I remember, was the first, because that was the first one I remember where they came in and they did the big presentation, and like because I was the low man of the totem pole. I was the one who had to do all the presentation, all the demos with the PR people that nobody else wanted to do. And it was new enough to me that I'm like, oh, cool, I get to see that. And I'm like, I've never even heard of this game. And I'm like, oh, there's a reason I haven't heard of this game.
You're young and naive then.
And after that, I kind of went back to the showrunner, and I was like, so when I'm being shown something that is clearly garbage,
is it okay?
What am I supposed to do? Like, do I act like I agree with them, even though I can tell they think it's garbage too? Like, what is the protocol there? She's like, and she was like, play along with them until eventually you get to know them well enough that you don't have to play along with them. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that was true. That was eventually like, once you got to know each other well enough, there was sort of a thing like, we know what this is, but we're going to do the deal. We're going to do the job.
Even then, though, if you got too lippy about a game, they'd still be like, what? Like, you're not supposed to do that.
Every once in a while, you'd like, the Batman Dark Tomorrow event, the people there knew exactly what they had.
And they still did an event for it.
They did an event for it, but like everybody, I was the only one that played the game. Yeah. Because everyone else was just getting free drinks. And I'm like, I'll play the Batman game. Yeah. I was excited about a Batman game because I was super new. And all the developer, everybody, all the Chemco people were around me. Like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I'm just like, it's kind of hard to play. Like, it's not very. And like,
I was good friends with a PR person back then named Natalie Saltzman, and she had been repping that game all along. That game kept being delayed and delayed and delayed. And I was the GameCube guy at GameSpot. And like, it's a Batman game, and there hadn't been a Batman game in forever. And our viewers were like, "Dude, what's going on with this bat?" I harassed her constantly, and then finally I go to that event and I get to play it. And I just remember the first scene. He like comes down on his bat rope, and I could not figure out how to get him off the bat rope. Yeah. So he just kept going up and down, up and like a yo-yo. It's like, I remember she walked over and she goes, "I know." And that was it. Literally one of the worst games of that entire generation.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And that's saying something.
It is. Yep. So there you go. That's Capcom Spotlight.
I'd play Suicide Squad over that.
Yeah.
I'd rather play Suicide Squad.
Oh, absolutely. 50 times I'd rather play Suicide Squad than play that Batman game. And again, probably we'll get more from Capcom around E3 timeframe. Whether they do an E3 press conference or not, I would not hold my breath. Next up, another kind of big event. In fact, it was an event that I didn't think was going to have anything of relevance in it. And as it turns out, I was completely wrong. Nacon, one of the smaller publishers, they kind of peddle in like AA games, Matt, and there's not many of those anymore. Typically now you have either a publisher that makes big AAA, big budget games, or they're like an indie publisher where it's all like 2D, arty kind of stuff. It's very rare to find publishers today that make 3D games that are aspiring to be AAA that just don't quite get there yet. And that's kind of what Nacon is. I guess another publisher like that would be 505, maybe.
Yeah, I can see that.
505.
I know 505 stuff more. Like Nacon, like you say that and I know that word, but I can't tell you what they have done.
Yeah. Embracer's another one.
Right.
Making good games, but not amazing games. Like decent budgets, but not gigantic budgets. And that's what we get with Nacon. But as it turns out, Nacon actually showed some stuff in this. That at least one game that we're about to talk about, people are kind of freaking out over, Matt. And that game is RoboCop.
Oh, right. Yeah.
RoboCop Rogue City. And
that is a choice in 2023.
I will be honest with you, Matt. I have no idea why some people are like all over this game. I really have no clue because
people like RoboCop.
It is one of the most ridiculous, absurd trailers I have ever watched in my life. I mean, I get it. There are RoboCop fans out there. Hasn't been even a decent RoboCop game in forever.
Yes, there was one. The original Data East arcade game is pretty good.
When I was saying in forever, that's what I meant. Like that arcade game from like
what was the last
80s.
What was the last RoboCop game? Like RoboCop versus Terminator?
I think
on the
maybe.
Super Nintendo
it's been
and Genesis.
A long time. Yeah. So this IP's been gone, and some people really like it. I get that part, but this trailer is so absurd. First, he walks into the bathroom. There's some girl sitting on the toilet babbling about selling drugs. He's just like, okay, got the drugs. Now I go kill. He goes.
I think that's Anne. I think that's his partner.
Oh, really?
Well, I think she's wearing the cop uniform.
Was she?
I thought so.
I'll go back. Well, first of all, I got the guy in the urinal. There she is. Is it? I can't
Maybe?
tell.
I don't know. I thought everyone kind of looks the same in this game. The faces are not wonderful.
No. Cinetype Brit says Focus Entertainment. That is another publisher that's kind of in the same vein. And then this scene. Okay, let's just pause right here, Matt. Okay, let's pretend you're a thug. You're a criminal. And you're...
Pretend? Yeah.
Well, let's pretend like we're going to pretend so people don't know that we're really thugs and criminals.
All right.
And let's pretend that we're hanging out in our lair, getting our drug shipment ready or getting our guns ready to go commit crimes or whatever. And you look up...
Just Detroit things.
Yeah, exactly. And you look up, and you see this huge fucking robot walking at you with a gigantic gun.
Yeah, well, and they know who he is, because they say it's RoboCop.
They go, oh, RoboCop. And instead of running away, they fight him.
Well, it's not fun if you're just shooting guys running away.
That's still what I'm saying.
But that's RoboCop.
It's like
why? I
stupid.
remember my dad saying that when RoboCop. It's like, why would you even try to fight?
Why would you fight? Just run away. And I get it. Like that doesn't make for a great video game. This doesn't make for a great video game either, Matt.
I don't expect it to be any good.
He goes like, oh shit, RoboCop.
But it does look more true to the RoboCop idea than like most of the Predator games have been.
Oh my god. Yeah, he goes.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna like fully slam this because like I do like RoboCop to some degree, but I don't understand why a RoboCop game is being made in 2023. Like where did this come from? That license
now you can get it for like nothing.
Maybe
look at this.
I mean, to me, like there's like the big four like R-rated sci-fi action movie things from the 80s are Aliens, Terminator, RoboCop, and Predator.
Yeah.
3 of those things are still pretty functional and relevant today. RoboCop, I think, has aged the worst of all of them.
Because it's absurd.
In part because really the first one was only particularly good because it was Paul Verhoeven doing his satire thing, and it was actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then the second one was not good, and then the third one was horrible, and then the remake wasn't any good a few years ago, and then I don't know what else to really say, because like I thought that was just the end of RoboCop. Like,
yeah.
Well, it was a TV show for a while, I guess, and there was a cartoon because tons of R-rated movies got turned into cartoons to sell toys for kids, including Aliens. The Aliens show never aired, but they did have a toy line.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't.
We take out the sound in our B-roll, but I'm just going to recite to you the dialogue that happens when RoboCop starts walking into that room. The thug goes, "It's RoboCop." RoboCop says, "Surrender your weapons." The thug goes, "No chance." And then he's dead. It's like, no chance. It's a gigantic robot with a machine gun. Like, what are you doing?
He's really hoping for a headshot, apparently.
Look, I get suspension of disbelief, trying to turn your brain off to enjoy something. This is where I draw the line, Matt. I cannot turn my brain off that much.
I mean, they're just doing the movie. Like, this is just. I mean, this is 80s action. You know, there's 4,000 useless thugs who don't have a chance of beating RoboCop or the Terminator or. I mean, even in Terminator 2, there's an element of, like, I mean, if a naked guy who looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger threw your buddy on the grill and stole his clothes, would you really stay and fight that guy after someone put a cigar out on his chest and he just looked at them and broke their hand? Yeah. No, I'm leaving at that point. I'm sorry.
So to me, this game is absurd. It seems to have caught the eye of some people. It's coming
it's the best-looking RoboCop game ever made. Clearly.
Yeah, clearly.
I mean, look, they are being pretty true to the license. I mean, if you care about that.
I guess.
Like, I mean, the over-the-top gore and blood, again, it's like if they don't stand and fight, they all just run out the back, and RoboCop is proven to be a completely useless object.
Because he's slow as AF.
There's a reason you have other people to cover the back, like... So they can't do that. But, like, in reality, RoboCop would walk in, everybody'd run out the back door, and that'd be the end of it. I mean, you'd have the evidence, but you wouldn't have any criminals left.
I mean, to your point, RoboCop is just a terrible IP to use for a game. I mean, it was probably a terrible IP to begin with, so...
No, that first movie is still pretty great.
Is it?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in 20 years, probably.
The first RoboCop is still pretty good.
Yeah.
It's Verhoeven's satire holds up, especially because it's still relevant for the most part.
Yeah.
Like,
well, the themes,
The themes are relevant. The idea of the corporate oligarchy is relevant. Like, buying up huge chunks of a city and turning it into a corporate, like, renovation thing.
Welcome to LA, there. By the way. That's what's happening here.
Yeah, that was supposed. By the way, RoboCop was supposed to take place in 1994. Because it came out in 1987.
Yeah.
But like
in the future.
And eventually they moved that back to like 97. But like, it's sort of like where Judgment Day and Terminator 2 is supposed to take place in 1997.
Yeah.
And then we just have to keep pushing it back.
Yep.
It's whatever. Like, sure. So all I can say is that better not be $70. I will play that game if it's like 40 or under. I'll try it.
I mean, we're going to try it anyway.
Sure.
Because that's what we do. We jump on their grenades so you guys don't have to. It is coming. It is a next-gen only game. It's coming to PC, PS5, Xbox Series, and Switch.
Cloud.
Probably. Nacon, you think it's going to get the cloud stuff going?
That was kind of one of their early things. Yeah, they do mobile stuff as well. Like, they do that. I don't know if it'll be any good, but...
Yeah. But anyway, RoboCop Rogue City, again, it's
Barry
coming.
Lomax makes a good point. Like, you could make a pretty good Total Recall game today.
Yeah.
Like, if you got the actual license for the original Verhoeven
that would work.
movie and just did the kind of like, almost like a Deus Ex on Mars. Mm-hmm. Like, there's something there.
That could definitely work. I agree. So anyway, that's coming in September of 2023 right now. It's already been delayed a couple times, so I wouldn't set that date in stone. Next up, Lord of the Rings Gollum. This game's been kicking around, it seems like, since Sifted launched. And it still hasn't been released.
This is a good companion piece to Suicide Squad in terms of nobody asked for this.
I was going to ask you, I know I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, but you're a much bigger fan than I am. Do you care about this?
No.
Where does this take place?
I believe it takes place in the gap between The Hobbit and when Frodo sets off for the journey.
Okay.
Because, so in the books, in the books, it's many years between Bilbo coming home and having his birthday party at the beginning of Lord of the Rings. And then it's 17 years between the birthday party and Gandalf coming back and sending Frodo off on the adventure.
Right.
In the movie, it feels like it's like a month.
It does, yeah.
But in that time, and they don't get into this in the movie, but in the book, like eventually Gollum gets so desperate he leaves the mountains and starts looking for the ring and ends up being captured by Sauron, and that's when he gets and Aragorn catches him at one point, and Gandalf wants to interrogate him, and then he escapes and ends up in Mordor. Like he goes on all these weird. He's all over the place. Like Gollum goes everywhere to looking for the ring and gets captured by just about everybody you can think of who's out there, and so that's why he's the guide for Sam and Frodo. Is because he actually does know where everything is. Like he
gets around.
Yeah, so I think this is taking place during that period where he leaves the Misty Mountains to try to find the ring, and doesn't, but runs into just about every major character in the series.
That doesn't sound especially interesting.
No, I mean, well, that's the problem. I mean, it's kind of the problem with the Amazon series. Is the problem? They're talking. Warner Brothers is talking about making another set of trilogies of like more Lord of the Rings stuff. They just renewed the license with the Embracer, which Embracer owns the rights to the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
like they bought all of that from that Tolkien estate.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
that's weird.
It is weird.
But like, so I mean, I assume the trilogies they would make would probably be Beren and Luthien, which is the First Age story of very similar to Aragorn and Arwen. And I would imagine they would do a War in the North trilogy, which deals with the elves and the dwarves fighting the Witch King and stuff in the North during the events of the War of the Ring. But the problem with both of those things is if those were the interesting parts of the story, that's what Tolkien would have written. And they're just...
That's a good point.
No matter what you do in this world, you run into the problem of nothing solves the problems except throwing the ring in the volcano.
Right. That's like, the only solution.
No matter what happens in the war... no matter what happens in the War in the North movies, say, if they happen... There's no end to that except Frodo throws the ring. Well, Gollum's the one who falls in, right. Obviously. But you want to get technical, but like the ring gets destroyed, and that's the end of that's the interesting part of the story because that's the only thing that can affect anything. It's like the problem at the end of the third Matrix movie, where you've got the fight in Zion and the race for Lawrence Fishburne to get back to the Zion, but the only thing that matters is whether Neo does his thing at the Machine City, because that's the only thing that has any effect. Otherwise, they're just all going to die.
It's all irrelevant.
Like you spent 45 minutes with this thing that doesn't actually matter because the only thing that matters is, and I don't care about any of these characters. It'd be different if I cared about the characters.
Looking
in Zion.
at chat, it looks like most people don't care about Gollum at all.
No, like Lord of the Rings is one story. It's the story that Tolkien wrote first because he knew that was the interesting part.
Tiny blip in history. Metal Gear Schmeagol.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Somebody else said that he's just not a good enough character to carry a game, and I agree. He gets annoying after a while. He's cute in small doses and interesting in small doses. It felt like the more time I spent with him in the films, the less interesting he became. Yeah,
well, also, like, he's... the problem with that is also like no one wants to be Gollum.
Yeah,
like he's a pathetic,
gross
creature. You know, that's the whole one of the whole lessons of his character is that Bilbo doesn't kill him out of pity,
right? And
Frodo doesn't kill him. And that in the end is what leads to the destruction of the ring. Is that this pathetic monster accidentally destroys the ring when Frodo cannot.
Yeah.
And that's what Gandalf means when he says he has a part to play in this. But the story of how he got up to that part to play is not important to the point that the only thing you hear about it is basically Gandalf and briefly Aragorn talking about, oh yeah, we ran into him and this happened and that happened, but now we got to move. It's just not important. It's just tap dancing to like. It's a tap dancer in front of the closed curtain while the set changes behind for the real story being told. It's not interesting.
Yeah.
And like you'd have to make a really interesting stealth game to make up for the fact that you're doing a kind of a dull part of the license. And I'm sorry, but I haven't seen anything in these brief clips that makes me think this is anything.
This game has already kind of done the preview rounds at publications.
Yeah.
And if you work in the industry,
been delayed a lot.
That when they bring it around, that means they think it's about to wrap up, and they want preview coverage leading up to the release. Well, they did that, and then the coverage was, I mean, I've watched editors tap dancing around having to say, this game sucks. And, when you do preview coverage, you have to stay neutral. You have to assume that they can fix stuff. And, having been the editor-in-chief at publications, I was like, I see what's going on here. Like, this game's trash. And you're trying to dance around it.
Charitable and but like the thing, like the Lord of the Rings works two ways in a game. You either replicate the movies, like the Battle for Middle Earth real-time strategy games did, or like the hack and slashes from Stormfront Studios, which I think both very good. And I kind of wish EA, I guess EA can't because they don't have the live, but I wish somebody would remaster remaster those, or at least re-release the Battle for Middle-earth games, because those were great. And they're very, very expensive now. Like the Witch King expansion for the second one is like $300.
Wow.
Because they don't exist.
Yeah.
You can't get them anymore.
Yeah.
So those are great. And then the other way to go is to just break the canon and do your own thing in service to whatever gameplay you want to do, which is what the Shadows of Mordor games did. And that worked out very well. Yep. They are incompatible with the lore, but they're not trying to be compatible.
Yeah.
They're trying to be their own timeline. There was no secret bright lord who accidentally took over Mordor in between two of the movies.
Right.
Like someone probably would have mentioned that at some point. But it was great. Those are fun because you're not boxed in by what, and you choose this, and you're boxed in by the character you're playing being an established canon character, and you're boxed in by the events of the story that you don't want to contradict to you because you don't want to piss off the hardcore fans who are mad if you cut one line from something.
I don't know if those people exist or care that much anymore. It's been so long.
Oh no, they Tolkien fans.
Yeah. Their fervor never dies.
Are you kidding? There are people still furious that Tom Bombadil wasn't in those movies.
Wow. It's crazy.
I don't think even Tolkien would have had a problem with Tom Bombadil getting cut from those movies. He never even figured out who that was.
Yeah.
But this game has always felt like a losing battle. And it doesn't look like they won in the end.
So anyway, Lord of the Rings Gollum, it's been around for quite a while. Usually that's a red flag. If they've shown it to the press and it's like a year and a half later.
Yeah. Also, stealth game, who does that anymore?
It does look like the vast majority of it is stealth.
Yeah. Well, because it has to be, because Gollum's not a fighter.
Right. What are they going to fight with?
I mean, he's just jumping on people's backs and strangling them to death or whatever, but or throwing rocks at them.
He also weighs 30 pounds.
Yeah, it's not
exactly formidable.
It feels like something that would have been made in the PS2 era.
Yeah.
Like a when they just pump out licensed games.
How can we
make
a Lord of the Rings game as cheaply as possible? Let's make a game about Schmeagol.
Yeah, let's just make Schmeagol sell.
Yeah, not gonna work. Next up,
Schmeagol sell Pandora tomorrow.
Next up, a game called Raven's Watch. This game is coming to everything, including Switch. It's coming out on April 6th, so not long to wait. It's a top-down roguelike. Basically, the premise of the game is the world of dreams is invaded by nightmares. The Raven's Watch calls upon heroes from fairy tales to defend the world of dreams, basically, from nightmares. It's from the developers of Curse of the Dead Gods. You can play it either solo or online co-op for up to 4 players. You basically play as twisted versions of old folk fairy tale legends like Little Red Riding Hood, the Pied Piper, the Snow Queen, Aladdin. Basically, Matt, any character that's free to use.
Oh yeah,
that they didn't have to pay a license for.
This actually reminds me of a fighting game board game that actually just got digital versions in the last couple of weeks called Unmatched, which is the same thing. They use Red Riding Hood, Alice in Wonderland, Sherlock Holmes, all these. Well, yeah, and they also have license. They have Marvel characters and they have Jurassic Park and stuff. But they the early ones were all almost this exact same lineup.
Yeah.
And so this is they made like a dungeon crawler out of Unmatched. I kind of feel sorry for this game coming out so close to Diablo 4. But it's a neat idea.
But it's not really like a Diablo. I guess it is a little bit like a Diablo.
I mean, it's not. It's a dungeon crawling roguelike, but people are going to look at this and see if I got Diablo 4, why do I need another top-down, kind of point and attack game? I can see people only wanting one at a time.
Well, what was the game of the year from Supermassive?
Hades.
Yeah. I feel like this game was inspired a lot by Hades.
Oh, I think art style definitely is.
I mean, it's also a roguelike, and it's also
and
very
Greek
similar.
mythology is also free. Let's not forget.
Yeah, it's very much like the way it's built as a roguelike. After every run, you get to keep stuff, so it makes the next run easier. Again, very much like Hades.
Yeah,
art style.
That was a thing that existed in roguelikes before that, but I think Hades really made it kind of like, hey,
nailed it.
This is how you make this work for a larger audience.
And this game is copying
always make them
concept.
Feel like progress is happening.
Yeah. So it looks like it. It kind of sounds like it. It kind of plays like it. We're not getting Hades 2 for a while.
And it's about the right time since Hades to start seeing the games that are directly inspired by it. So
yeah. Again, that's Ravens. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of it already. Raven's Watch. It's coming April 23rd. Coming to everything, including Switch. And then next up is a game called Ad Infinitum.
Or ad infinitum, depending on how you pronounce the Latin.
Is that how you correctly pronounce it?
Nobody actually really knows how you pronounce Latin. It's like it's just kind of up to you, however you want
really?
to. Yeah.
Is that true?
Well, yeah, it's a dead language.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows how to say.
Interesting. I wasn't aware of that.
I had a someone who's like they're like they have a doctorate in Latin and like Latin, Latin, not Latin studies in terms of like South America, but in terms of like Latin and classical studies and stuff. And they were like, yeah, you like we don't really know. We just sort of
assume
kind of get. It's sort of like Egyptian. We don't know what the vowels sounded
right.
like.
Gotcha.
Or whatever. But like, yeah, they were because I was like, how do you pronounce it? Like, that's fine. I'm like, because you don't speak Latin to each other? Because you all know Latin? Like, no, it's a dead language. No one knows how to really say anything. There were no recordings of Julius Caesar.
Yeah. Well, this is a first-person horror adventure. It's been worked on by two friends since 2014. They got the game up and pretty close to being finished, and Nacon stepped in to help them with funding to finish the game. You play as a young German soldier trapped between two realities. One reality is an abandoned mansion. The other reality is World War I. And you basically end up going through like the muddy trenches of the Eastern Front. And the objective of the game is to solve enigmas or puzzles that help put your mind back together so you can basically solidify yourself in one reality. And the X factor here is which reality is the real reality? Is it World War I or is it the mansion? It's a pretty interesting concept. This is coming also in September to PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X. So it is next gen only, and there's no Switch version of this. I haven't played a good horror adventure in a really long time. I'm kind of overdue to play one.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, I guess it would depend what you define as a horror adventure.
Yeah, because there's thrillers and
horror.
Yeah,
like the one that pops to mind for me is probably What Remains of Edith Finch, but that's not really horror.
Yeah,
there's some creepy stuff in it, but it's not horror. Yeah.
So maybe some people are overdue for something like this. I kind of am, so I'll probably give it a look when it comes out in September. And then the final game that they showed was a game called Clash Artifacts of Chaos, and that game just came out. We just curated a couple first reviews for it, I believe, yesterday on Sifted. It's available now for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC. Matt, it is a melee-driven action RPG with cel-shaded visuals. So all the combat plays like a 2D fighter once you initiate a fight with someone. And then the weird part is like, before every fight, you play a dice game against the enemy you're about to fight, and if you win the dice game, you get like a buff that helps you in the fight. Otherwise, it's kind of like this open-world action RPG where literally fisticuffs is like... And the lead character looks a little bit like Dulcine, to be honest. So,
is this the Clash thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played Xenoclash, the game.
It's set in the Xenoclash universe, and I was like, who knows what the Xenoclash universe is?
I do.
But you do. That's hilarious.
It's almost like Oddworld, except like with less like pretension and a little more imagination.
Yeah, it's pretty creative. It's worth checking out.
It's got the flavor of kind of the old French manga inspired comics that I like. That's kind of space opera, just everything's sort of colorful and weird looking.
Yeah.
And it's either gonna like appeal to you or just completely put you off. Yeah. So it's no middle ground really.
Yep, worth checking out though. Head to Sifted.
Yeah,
it's
I'm curious.
Clash Artifacts of Chaos.
Didn't that come out today or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Reviews just went up yesterday, so yeah, it came out today.
Yeah, the Xenoclash, it had a pretty good combat system. It was a nice meaty combat system.
Yeah.
The dice thing is weird.
It is weird. So anyway, that is Nacon's Big Connect. Not bad for a little indie-ish kind of publisher.
Some interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, it's varied, all different genres. Most of the stuff doesn't look like it's too low rent. So Nacon, as a lower third, intimates a rising force in game publishing. Next up, we're going to do something we haven't done in a long, long time on GameFace.
So you know it's a slow episode.
And that's how you know things were slow during the week. As we like to say, if the games are slow, we go high-low. And we are going to do an installment of high-low, although I've added a new twist to it. It's high-low and before or after. So it can be one or the other. And basically what it is I give Matt a fact, and then he tells me whether that fact ultimately is going to come in higher or lower, or what's going to happen is going to happen before or after the date that I give him. It's a fun little game, and it's a good way to create discussion around topics that maybe wouldn't have normally been in the show. Again, it has been 2 years since we've done high-low, maybe, Matt?
Maybe.
It's really been that long. Kevin Roffa says, I love this segment. All right, some of you guys remember it, which is good to see. The best segment in Sifted history from Danny Endurance. I think that might be going a little far. But we are reviving it, and for OG GameFace viewers, listeners, watchers, it's a little bit of a blast from the past. All right, Matt, are you ready to do this?
Sure. What are you going to do if I say no?
I'll answer them myself. I will sit here and answer them myself and give my take on it. Okay, here's the first question. And this is higher or lower. Resident Evil 4 Remake Metacritic average. 9.0. Higher or lower?
Higher.
Higher? How much higher?
I think this thing's going to get like a 96.
Really? You think that high?
Yeah.
Wow. That could be the best pick in the history of our fantasy draft.
I think it will be.
If I get a 96 where I drafted this game.
I think it will be.
I don't think it'll be that high.
I do.
I think people will dock it because it's an older game.
I don't think they care.
Really?
No, I think this game is going to transcend that, no problem.
I mean, I think it'll be...
You played the demo.
I know, it's awesome. I mean, look, I think it'll get a 9 or higher, so technically it's a high for me.
No, I think it's going to be up to...
But I think it's going to be like a 9.1.
No, I think it's going to be high 9s. I think this thing's going to give Zelda a run for its money.
Interesting. That's good for me. That's what I like to hear. And I'll be honest with you, man. Like, if the whole game is as good as that demo I just played, it's gonna deserve it.
Yeah,
it's absolutely gonna deserve it. The other thing that people are forgetting about RE4 if they haven't played it, it's way longer than most Resident Evil games.
It's really long, and like it never stops throwing new stuff at you.
Yeah,
like it never gets old.
Yeah,
even though it's like 15, 20 hours long. Yeah. It never gets old.
It's the longest Resident Evil game ever.
They always come up with new stuff to do and new ways to do it, and the enemies change out and get new ideas and new moves. They don't repeat the bosses much. Like it's really, really good. So yeah, I think this is going to be mid to high 9s.
Okay. One thing we're going to do in playing high-low today is we're going to show what you guys think. Back when we used to do this, we didn't incorporate you guys into the show as much as we do now. So after everyone, I'm going to bring up the chat, and we're going to take a look at what you guys think. And you guys are already doing this without me even asking. Let's see. 4 points higher for Emperor Dread. So higher than a 9.0. So he's saying a 9.4. Kevin Roffa higher. Big Dave Lazard, I guess, higher. Kevin Roffa 94. God of Gamblers 33, a 97. Too Quick Capri says lower. Interesting, but it doesn't explain why. Higher, lots of hype for this from our new viewer. God of Gamblers 33, it will be standard for remakes. I'm not sure what he's saying there.
It'll be a new bar for what a remake should be.
Set the new bar for remakes. Congram 93 to 94. Well, Salsha brings up a good point. Dead Space Remake and Metroid Prime Remaster got a 9, so yeah, higher. Mm-hmm. Yep. Higher 93 for me from Cinetyke. Everyone says higher except for one person. Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Next. You ready, Matt? Mm-hmm. This is a before or after. The Activision Blizzard deal goes through April 25th. Before or after?
After.
So that's the kind of the legal cutoff for it, which means that they would have to scrap the deal and redo the deal again. Mm-hmm. And you think that that's more likely than it happening?
So you mean like
you're right? It's like 6 weeks away.
So you mean being approved?
Like going through? Yeah, the deal's going to go through.
Because going through would
when
have to
will we know the deal's going to go through? Before or after April 25th?
I think after. I think they're gonna
have to rework the deal ultimately.
Dance. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I agree with you. Actually, I think it's also going to be after. The time is running out. I remember when we first saw that deadline of April 25th. We were like, oh, easy. They'll definitely get it now. I don't think so.
No, I think this stuff just moves too slow.
Yeah. So I'm going to say after April 25th, but I do think it goes through, but I do think it'll be
I think we'll go through, but I think, they're going to have to basically start over.
Yep. Let's see what you guys say. Everyone says after. Yep. JM Rain, Obi-Wan 9000, Barry Lomax, Emperor Dread, Kevin Roffa, Cinetyke, Congrim 1, Vortex Complex. Everyone's after. Because April... Robanian after, because April any day is too soon. Mm-hmm. Everyone says after. Big Dave Lazard, God of Gamblers 33, Erebus Jones after. Erebus says they won't have to redo the deal. There will be clauses within the contract to extend. Actually, that's true. they can do that. But that makes it very, very complicated.
I mean, luckily they have people being paid very well to deal with that.
To make complicated things, yeah. So it looks like unanimous across the board. We all agree the deal's going through, but after April 25th. Okay. Next up, before or after? Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League release date. December 2023. Will it come out before or after that?
I think it's going to come out after.
After?
I don't.
So you think it's going to be delayed out of the year?
I think it's going to miss this year.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's a chance this year, but and honestly, I think the smarter move is just to bite the bullet and put it out this year and be done with it. But I think they're going to push it to the end of the fiscal year, basically.
I think they're going to realize very quickly that they just need to release it. I'm going to say before. Worst case scenario,
I think that would be smarter, but I don't think that's what Warner Brothers is going to do.
I think eventually, look, if they're listening to fan feedback that made them delay the game, I think they're also going to listen to fan feedback to say, look, you can't fix this game. Just put it out.
We'll see. I think it's going to slip.
I would say before. You're saying after. It was the first one we split on. It'll be interesting now to see what the chat thinks about this.
Some people in chat are saying never.
Never?
They think it'll just never come out.
So that's definitely after. Let's see. It's hard to find the cutoff for the last one. Before from Kevin Rafa. Agreed from Swanland. I don't know who he's agreeing with.
After
you or me.
from probably me. After from Jam Rain.
After from Jam Rain. Barry Lomax before. It looks like they're split down the middle. Cinetype before. Barry Gooster after February 2024. So he's saying after and instead in February 2024.
It will come out
meaning
in February.
Before the quarter ends, which makes sense. Swanland after. Big Dave Lazard before. Salsha before. It's split right down the middle. Except for Swan Senpai, who says it will just never come out.
And Too Quick Caprices never.
Yeah. Actually, a few people are saying that. A lot of people are thinking February 2024. Okay.
The thing about it is, if you put it out too late, you're rubbing up against Mortal Kombat 12.
That's true.
And I think they're going to want to leave the fall for Mortal Kombat.
As far as Warner Brothers is concerned.
And then it leaves you, I mean, you could try to release it at Christmas. You could literally put it on December and hope that it gets a Christmas bump or something.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to push it to next year.
Okay. Because
it's not like they got anything better to put out next year anyway. So their schedule, as far as we know, is pretty empty.
Yeah. Okay. Next one, a very similar question. Before or after, again, the release date for Starfield, November 2023.
Before.
It's
gonna make. I think it's gonna make
its release date is now September.
Yeah, I think Todd would not risk putting another date on it if he wasn't sure. Because they didn't do that. Remember when they delayed it off the date that was literally rendered in CG? They did not give a new date. They did not say anything about. They didn't say another date for that. They wouldn't say this September date unless they were pretty damn sure. That doesn't mean it can't slip, but I don't think it will.
I'm gonna agree with you on this one. I'm gonna go before. I think it might get shoved to November.
It might get pushed a couple weeks. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if it was October.
Yeah,
but
it seems a little dicey to me because it's a little scary that.
But if we'd find that out August 30th or something, right. It would be like that.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on this one. I think it'll make it before November. But again, I would not be shocked at all if it's delayed again.
I wouldn't be shocked, but I do think that for Todd to agree to put a date on it. Again, he would have to be very certain.
Because you're right. You don't want egg on your face twice, right?
No. I mean, the last date they gave it was, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Almost?
Yeah.
Whenever that trailer was. And then they haven't put another date. When they delayed it, they wouldn't say anything. They barely said first half of the year. They wouldn't put a day on it. If they're putting a day on it now, they're pretty sure. But I guess pretty sure doesn't mean...
There's the original 11/11/22. Yeah. May it live in infamy forever.
Look at the poll. 100% before.
100% before. Okay, everyone thinks that it's going to come out before. In fact, I'll just try to find people in the chat that think it's not coming out.
God of Gamblers makes it good. Any delay would be for marketing reasons, not polishing.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, they're right.
Polishing with the Bethesda game?
No, he said not for polishing.
Right, I think it will be for polishing.
No, they can put that out.
Meaning that they don't care, and they're just.
It's not that they don't care, but you got to get it out, and then you can patch it later. As long as it works, that's all you need.
Everyone says before.
I mean, do you remember what Skyrim was like?
Wait, Vortex Complex says after.
Well, you didn't vote in the poll, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, everyone seems convinced that it's not going to be delayed out of the year. I hope you guys are right. because it would pretty much doom my fantasy team, to be honest.
I don't know. You got Resident Evil.
Yeah, that's going to help, for sure, where I got
There's
it.
a non-zero chance Resident Evil gets a better Metacritic than Zelda.
Not non-zero, I agree, but I think it's slim.
It's a slim chance, but like Zelda might screw something up.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know. Like
I don't know. The fanboys
you change the formula and you don't know.
It's true.
Like maybe it's like, oh, it's good, but it's like a 94, and Resident Evil goes. Resident Evil 4 is apparently a rock solid remake, one of the best games of all time.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna be up there.
Yeah. Okay, here's a higher or lower. The number of video games Miyamoto will make before he retires. And the number is 1. Higher or lower?
Oh, is it like hands-on, like direct?
Like be the main like force behind a game.
Lower. Yeah. He won't do that again.
So you're going to say he'll never make
another game. Not directly, not like as a director daily involved. No, he's a supervisor now.
But I mean, look, if he supervised...
He's the brand.
Like on the same level he used to supervise Zelda or Mario, like that counts, for example.
Yeah, but he's not doing that anymore.
But you don't think another one will happen?
No.
I don't either. I think it's 0. I don't think he'll ever make another game.
He's done. That's a lot of work. He's older. Let him enjoy his life. It's like it's a George R.R. Martin thing. It's like everybody wants the books. It's like, yeah, but like, you know what? If I'd been writing fantasy books my whole life and all of a sudden this thing blew up and I got to spend the last like 20 years of my life like being rich and enjoying fame, I'm not sitting down to write these fucking books for you dipshits. Like that everyone's just going to complain about. Like, yeah, I would just enjoy those last years and no one can ever do anything about it. Like, so I think, and Miyamoto obviously has a much, I
mean, these are some of the last games that he ever showed.
Yeah, well, he'll always be the maker of Wii music to me.
I mean, look, he made Project Giant Robot. These are some of the last concepts.
Well, that became that Labo thing, right? Yeah.
But these are some of his last concepts that actually came to fruition and became games.
Well, maybe there's a reason he doesn't do this anymore.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I'm kind of getting at. Project Guard, Project Giant Robot. I
did like Project Guard.
These are kind of the last things that he went in front of everybody and said, "Hey, these are my ideas." Mm-hmm. And neither one of them really came to fruition.
No. Project Guard became Star Fox Guard or whatever that was.
Yeah, it was
that
like a little mode
extra
inside
thing.
Star Fox Assault, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I like that. I thought that was fun.
It was a cool idea.
Like I wouldn't have bought it on its own, really.
Yeah.
But,
hell no.
But it was a nice little extra thing.
It was basically like a security cam simulator.
How involved was he on the Mario Run game, like the mobile stuff?
The mobile stuff, not very.
No.
Just
sort of like making
he made sure they weren't ruining Mario, basically, and that was it.
The thing he's been most involved in lately just seems to be the theme park stuff. And the movie.
Cultural stuff. Theme park and the film. Yep, that's what he's doing now.
That movie's going to pay off. That movie.
It might pay off. Yep.
I think that movie is going to be... I think the Mario movie is going to make $1 billion, at least.
I agree. It's going to
be a big deal.
Yep. Okay, it looks like people... 0 games from the Legacy. Lower. He isn't making anything from console-wise. Very Gooser lower. Jam Rain lower, Swanland 0, Rigor Mortis lower, everyone. Oh, Kevin Rafa says he will make exactly one more game. Obi-Wan 9000 says he's done minus one game.
He will cancel a game.
Cinetite can't answer. He says, I have no idea. Big Dave Lazard says one more. I'll be honest with you. I'm hoping for one more, but honestly, I don't think there will be another one. I think that's it. I think he's done making games. And
the man has served
he
his time.
He has earned his time to relax. I agree.
Go work in your garden.
I'm just being selfish that I would like to see one of his last ideas.
I would like to see another one of his games from if he could go back in time and have his 35-year-old self do it, but I haven't been too impressed by his direct output in the last 10, 15 years. So,
Robanian says, I can see him working on 1 or 2 despite him being busy with movies. I hope you're right, man. I would just love to see at least one more, but
I think he's just an executive producer now. He's Barry
Gisser says, dude is going to work on his hip opera. Manly Scream says one more. Okay. And thank you for Twitch Prime, by the way. Rigor Mortis UK, thank you for Twitch Prime as well. Okay, let's see if we have a couple more here. This is kind of a fun one. The PlayStation 5, and this is before or after. The PlayStation 5 passes the PlayStation 4 in lifetime sales. Before or after Q4 2026?
Before.
Before?
Yeah. If they can make enough of them, I guess.
Wow. So you're saying in basically 3 years that it will have passed PS4.
I can see that. If supply remains available, like if we have another chip crisis, then they probably won't be able to make enough to do that.
It has. So its first year, it did outpace PlayStation 4. Not by a ton, but by a little bit. But then the manufacturing woes crept in, and then PS4, the last couple years, has actually outsold it. But they're kind of on equal footing right now. That's a tough one. Yeah. That might be the hardest one of all.
I think their exclusive stuff's only going to get better, and I think you're going to have a rush of people that want to play Last of Us after the show.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do real well as long as they can get units in the pipeline, which is an if, I admit. But
I set a good date for this. I think it's going to be right around there.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the wire on that.
I'm going to say after, though. I don't know. That's hard. Yeah, I'm going to say after. Because PlayStation 4, man, that's a lot of units to make up. You're talking about 130 million?
Yeah,
so you have another 100 million to make up.
The demand for this thing is still through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to sell over 30 million a year for the next 3 years to beat PS4. Which they can do it.
I think they could.
But Switch in its heyday was selling like 20, 25.
Yeah.
It's going to be close. But I would say after, barely after. What does chat think, though?
Seems to be leaning after.
Yeah. Black Sierra says they're probably going to get a hot price hike.
Yeah.
I mean, it already got it everywhere but America.
Yeah. I think it will beat PS4.
Calendar Q4, by the way. Legacy is asking fiscal Q4 or calendar Q4. So, end of December of 2026. Cinetype after. Consoleized after. Black Sierra before. Swanland after. This is a good question. Actually, this is a good point from Swan Senpai. After, unless it gets a big discount. Because if it does get a big discount, I think it easily makes it under this gun. But I don't think it's going to get a discount because they just increased the price in most territories.
Yeah, I don't see it dropping.
Mega Drive guy after. Ashes in the Hourglass. I think the Xbox will steal some of the PS4's user base from the PS5. Okay. Obi-Wan 9000 is tricky. The economy's not great. That's another thing to consider. And his price is still high. He says lower. Or before, I think he means.
Yeah.
So he says all this stuff that may make it not sell that well, but then he still says before.
Or maybe after. I think that might mean after.
Okay. God of Gambler 33 after. Very Gooster. No, he says before. Black Sierra probably gets a price hike still before. Robanian, probably 2028-ish. Ooh. That might be a little long. Congrim says depends on the new studios and IPs. Yeah, that's also an X factor.
It depends on the old IPs, what it depends on.
Swanland says, my brother who doesn't play games just asked me about the Last of Us games after binge watching the show. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to get pin action. There's no doubt about it.
And you watch how many consoles that Spider-Man 2 sells.
Yeah.
Like, if they can get them available.
Red Fox 1980 says PS4 had more system sellers. Yeah. So far.
Not for long.
Not NFL, not for long. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Vincent says, apparently there are more rumors today about PS5 Pro coming end of next year. I don't believe that at all.
No, I don't even know what that would be.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's just quiet.
Yeah. It has no fan or something. It has no walls, no console walls. I don't know what you would do. Okay, we have one more for high-low / before or after. This is also a before or after. This whole thing ended up almost all being before or after. Game Pass reaches 50 million subscribers. Before or after Q4 2025?
After.
After?
Yeah, it seems to be slowing.
So it would have to double what it's at now. It's at 25 million right now. And it would have to double that. It would have to add 25 more million Game Pass subscribers in basically 2 years.
I'm actually kind of on never.
Really? You don't think it'll ever get to 50 million?
It seems to be slowing down. I don't know.
It is.
I don't know if it's going to actually reach that.
But we haven't got to the inflection point yet where Starfield comes out.
Yeah.
And Avowed and all these other...
I mean, I don't know if Starfield is going to really move the needle on that. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I struggle to... I mean, if it does make it to 50 million, it's going to crawl there. And I think after.
I think it's after, but I absolutely think it's going to hit 50. I think, when I'm 10 years
maybe
from
Call
now,
of Duty could do it. If that becomes a thing, if you subscribe to Game Pass, you don't have to pay for Call of Duty.
All this stuff starts happening, though. The Activision Blizzard stuff, if World of Warcraft becomes free on Game Pass, there's just so many things that they can do.
I don't see World of Warcraft doing that, but yeah. I mean,
it depends on if they're sitting at 30 million.
Well, you can do a demo, but you're always gonna have to pay a subscription fee for World of Warcraft.
I mean, you kind of are if you're paying for Game Pass.
Yeah, but you can't. That's to maintain that game. That game is its own ecosystem. Like you can't do that.
I'm gonna say after, but I'm not like you. I think if it is after, it's like the next year it'll hit it. Like, I think once these games start coming out, people are like, really? I can play that for $15 a month? I think you're going to start seeing things pick up again. Because what happened was the promise of Game Pass has floated it to this point. The promise is starting to fade a little bit, Matt.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people got on the Game Pass train because they thought all these big exclusive first-party games were coming, and they keep getting delayed. I think once that stuff starts delivering, that's when you start to see the uptick again for Game Pass. Somewhat. We'll see, but...
It's going to take known quantities, though. Like, Avowed is not going to make any difference to people.
I agree.
To some degree.
It's going to have to be big stuff.
I mean, I'm excited about it, but it's going to get... But again, I think that your telltale sign is going to be when they put Call of Duty on Game Pass and not on, when it's on PlayStation, you got to pay $70 for it. But if you play it on Xbox, you just have to be subscribed to Game Pass. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's probably your big jump. If they're going to get to 50 million, it's going to be that way.
Yep.
But I don't know when that's going to happen. So that's probably... It's interesting that Sony hasn't really brought that up in the arguments.
Right.
That, like, they're going to do that. They're just going to basically give away Call of Duty on their platform and charge for it on ours, and we're going to be screwed.
I think they have brought it up.
Have
actually.
they brought that up?
Yeah.
Because I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But, like, that's... it's a weak argument because it's like, yeah, well, you could do that too if you wanted to spend the money, but like you don't.
Or if you wanted to build a team that could make a great shooter.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
Call of Duty doesn't have the monopoly on making great shooters.
No, but Sony certainly seems to have the monopoly on failing to.
That's true. Let's look at chat and see what you guys are saying about this. I think COD players will buy the game and not subscribe monthly. Interesting. Because you're right. If you play COD all year, you could end up spending more on Call of Duty.
Yeah, if you only care about one game.
And a lot of Call of Duty players are that way. It's true. Here we go. Mainly Scream after. Ashes in the Hourglass never, like you. After, never reaches 50 million. After, Kevin Roffa says before. Slagathor after, Congram after. Cinetike before, Barry Lomax never, after and never, after, never. Wow. It's almost unanimous after or just never. I'm surprised that people think, so many people think never. It's already at 25 million. Never, you're talking, think about 10 years from now. You don't think they're going to hit 50 at that point? I mean...
It's a lot of people.
I mean, let me put it to you this way.
And you're also counting on, like, people not canceling.
Okay, so here's my next question, then. For people who think it's never going to happen or definitely won't make it by Q4 2025, what happens then?
I think it stalls out in the mid-40s.
No, I mean, what happens to Xbox? Does it go away? Does it have to pivot and go back to its old way? Because, look, it needs to hit, like, at least 50 million for this to work. For this whole plan to work.
I think, they would pivot.
And go back to selling their games.
The standard model.
Interesting.
Because hopefully by then, and I think this is part of the contingency plan, hopefully by then they have enough stuff in the pipeline regularly from all these developers they bought that they have an exclusive lineup worth looking at.
Yeah.
Like they could sustain that then. They can't do that now. Game Pass came kind of out of necessity in that regard. They didn't have anything else to do, so they're just giving shit away.
They didn't have any games.
Yeah. So now, like, if it doesn't work in the long run, I think the plan is they can get to the point where they've got all these studios putting out regular content and a variety of content that they don't just have Gears, Forza, and Halo rotating back and forth every 2 years. They hopefully could survive on that under a standard retail model. But we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, people seem, it's almost unanimous that either after or never to hit 50 million. Pachter thinks they're going to hit 100 million in the next, 4 years. He thinks once these games start rolling in, they're going to become a juggernaut. That's unstoppable.
I'm sure that right after they all buy TVs with Xboxes built into them.
That's true. There are out there, though. I mean, Samsung TVs do come built in with Game Pass now.
Built in with Game Pass, not built in with an Xbox hardware.
But you don't need a hardware.
You do if you want
to plug a controller in a USB port.
You do if you want to play them and they don't suck.
Yeah. I actually played
without the lag.
Stuff. I actually played a game streamed on Game Pass last week. I was just fiddling around with it, and it was pretty good, man. I was pretty impressed with the latency. It wasn't like a fighting game or a shooter or whatnot.
Yeah, go play a Resident Evil game that way.
Yeah, you're right. It might
split second JIT doesn't work on cloud.
Obi-Wan 9000 says Microsoft will just keep it going, but with fewer AAA games. I mean, I think people just bail on them. Either that, or they're going to have to lower the cost of it and make it $5 a month or something.
Maybe. I mean,
no one's going to pay $15 a month to play indie.
I mean,
games.
I would still pay $5 to $10 a month for just like get all of Microsoft's games for no extra charge over the course of the year if they're putting out something like once or twice a quarter.
You mean catalog or new stuff?
Everything, yeah, catalog and new stuff.
Okay.
Like if you're getting to the point where you're putting out 7 to 8 exclusive games of interest and value per year, like I'd still subscribe to that to not pay $60 to $70 for each of them. You know,
right? So you're saying even if they're like, but I thought you said that they would go back to selling the games then. Well,
yeah, but it's if I'm not talking about that. They're talking about dropping the subscription price for Game Pass.
Well, they wouldn't do that if they're going to go back to the retail model.
But I'm talking about if they stop selling AAA stuff from other developers and just make it a Game Pass for Microsoft, basically.
Gotcha. I think they would never.
Which would be an interim step to shutting it down.
Right. Yeah.
But like, that would still be worth it for me.
Yeah, I think most people would say that, but I just don't think it'll never happen because it's so worth it.
I mean, if it does, it'll be
a great deal, but
if it does happen, like it would happen when they have enough games to support that.
Yeah.
And coming out regularly, and it would be everyone would have to admit, like, okay, this is just a stopgap measure until they finally decide to shut it down.
Yeah.
Like this is just a stepping stone to shut down.
Yep. There you go. That's high-low / before or after. I had fun doing that. I like doing that topic. It's fun. It makes you think about things in different ways. Thanks to you guys as well for taking part and giving your input in the chat. The show's so much better now than when we used to do high-low. You guys are so much more integrated into the show. You guys get to express your opinions a lot more in the show now, and that works great with high-low. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner, because the funny thing is we only do this when topics are like really low or there's not a lot of games coming out. This is just a good topic in general. We should just do it more often than we do. So we will do that in the future going forward. Thanks for helping us out and making it a good segment. And then our last topic for today is the only game that I played this week.
In this very short show.
Yeah. Actually, as it turns out, it wasn't that short.
You should know by now.
But it's not going to take me that long to talk about this game. And that game is Romancelvania. And just listening to the name, what you think the game is exactly what it is. It is Castlevania with a dating show element to it. You play, I know it seems absurd.
Doesn't seem absurd if you know Castlevania fans.
Yeah. In fact, I didn't load it into the TriCaster here, so I'm going to have to do that real quick. 1 second, guys. Let me just get it into the
you
playlist.
definitely need to show this one.
Oh, yeah. For sure. And there it is. So it is a Metroidvania. You play as Dracula. You can play as a male or female version of Dracula. And it's built like your typical Metroidvania. It has these interlocking level designs. When you first start playing the game, you have all your abilities. Something happens, you lose all your abilities.
Oh no, I tripped and dropped my superpowers down the stairs.
Yep. And then you spend the rest of the game trying to get them back. And as you adventure through the levels, you see areas that you can't access because, hey, I need this other power that I don't have yet. Generally, that was the double jump. As you play through this game, you're like, when are they going to give me the double jump? Because you just go through all these levels and realize that you're going to need the double jump. And once you get it, you're going to have to go back through the entire game world. So it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek, no pun intended, take on Dracula, obviously, because he's set in a dating show. It all takes place in his castle. And there's regular intervals where you have to deal with the show element. So there are eliminations where you have to do the rose ceremony, you have to eliminate people. When you start the game, you have no one is in like the dating pool. You have to find them first, and you have to convince them to join the dating pool. So you have these little interactive conversations with them to convince them to become a part of the dating pool. And then once they do, they all start competing for your affections and your attentions. Each of the people. And look, it's equal opportunity here. If you play as male Drac, you can have male people in the potential list of people that you end up being with. You can do whatever you want. You can have any mix of male and females in the cast ultimately, but you do have to go and meet them first and get them to become a part of it. And then once you do, the competition starts. And there aren't like quests or things like that. Like, you know, like these dating shows, it's like, hey, everyone is in the cast has to compete in this little stupid game to see who gets the date or what. No, there's nothing like that. Like, you basically are just playing through a Metroidvania, and then every once in a while there are these vignettes that you have to participate in where you either try to convince, you try to romance somebody, or you decide that you don't want to be with them, and then ultimately you have to make cuts and decide who you want to be with at the end. The level design is a little weird because you have like the castle, and it's built like a typical Metroidvania, again, where there's all these labyrinthine places you can go and all these areas you can't access until you get a specific power. But then there are other locations. So you'll eventually leave the castle and you go out into this kind of weird overworld thing. It's very linear and you have to like choose which direction you want to go or whatever. And then there are like 3 or 4 other sort of levels out in those areas. And again, just like the castle, oftentimes you'll only be able to play through like half of that dungeon and you'll get a new power and you have to go back. So there's a lot of like remembering, like, oh, that's right, there was this door all the way at the end of this one part of the game. I have to go all the way back there now with this new power to try to unlock the door. And to be fair, there are plenty of fast travel points. So there are save points in the game. There's also auto-saving. That's pretty generous as far as the checkpoints are concerned. But there's also places where you can sit down, and they call it the confessional, where you sit down and you can save or you can fast travel to any of the other save points that you've uncovered. So a lot of times you don't have to completely travel by foot all the way back to the area where there's that door waiting or that place where you need to double jump to get over a wall or something to explore a new part of the level. They're pretty good about getting you around that stuff. But ultimately, what does this game in is that it's not a great Metroidvania. Like, I thought maybe the dating parts might ruin the game, but they're actually kind of fun and cool. The writing in this is really good and legitimately funny. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it was just someone on their team, or if they hired like a comedian to write a lot of the stuff, or at least punch up the script or something. But it's legitimately funny. Because it's very weird. Like, you're trying to date like Medusa. And Medusa, you can't look at her because she'll turn you to stone. She also doesn't have any arms. So, like, a lot of the times to get the people to join the cast, you have to help them do something. Like, there's like a mermaid, and she asks you to go find ice. So you have to go find ice and then take it back to her. She joins the cast. Medusa, she asks you to go find her arms. You have to venture out into the worlds and find her arms, take them back to her, and then she'll become a part of the cast. And that's kind of how the process plays out. And eventually you get to these elimination ceremonies where you cut the people that you don't want. And again, like, the characters are so weird and offbeat. That's kind of what makes it interesting. Like, there's another character that's like a scarecrow, but it's like a pumpkin. He's a pumpkin for the head and then has 2 smaller pumpkins for her boobs. Like, so anyway, it's this very strange hybrid of two different things that don't necessarily taste great together, but they don't taste horrible either. So I ended up almost finishing this game. It just became one of these things where, like, I would just pick it up and play it for like 10 or 15 minutes there. And again, the frequent save points, the frequent checkpoints made that easy. I could put it down and pick it up and play it for another 20 minutes and maybe actually accomplish something and at least save to the area that I got to. So it's pretty handy to play in that way. But as far as like Metroidvanias go, it is kind of lowest common denominator. The other part too is that, like, some of the abilities that you get are a little awkward to use. Like, you get a whip, ultimately, but the whip is really hard to use in the context of the game. Some of the enemies are really cheap. Some of them can almost instant kill you until you get, like, the double jump and you can just jump over them, or you get the right ability that can actually kill them. Specific enemies are vulnerable to specific weapons. So a little bit of it is like, oh, here's that enemy. I know that the sword works well on this one, or I know that the pole works well on this one, so I'm gonna switch real quickly. The other thing too is that, like, you have one slot for your special abilities, and you have to cycle through your special abilities to get to that one slot. Now, you can pull up a weapon wheel and change or whatever, but the truth of the matter is this game doesn't use very many buttons on the controller. They could have very easily assigned like 2 or 3 of the unused buttons to quick access some of the abilities. So instead, what you find is you're using the shoulder buttons to, like, cycle through your weapons before you can use them with the square button. And I thought that was a little weird. Enemy variety is also pretty lacking. There's really only probably like 10 or 12 different rank and file enemies in the game. They get boring pretty quickly.
So this game the narrative director was Amanda Gardner, who's the wife of Bill Gardner, who was he's worked on a bunch of stuff. But most prominently, he was in charge of a lot of the design of the early levels of BioShock.
Oh,
so
interesting.
He worked on BioShock 1 and Infinite.
Wow.
With Ken Levine.
I never would have got that vibe from this game.
But now that they have their own company, and she wrote Perception, which is the previous game they did, which I've never heard of.
I've heard
really,
of it. Yeah.
But like he was in charge of the Welcome to Rapture section, the Medical Pavilion, and Fort Frolic. Fort Frolic being probably the best thing in that game.
I believe this was crowdfunded.
Yes, it was a Kickstarter.
Yeah. And they delivered ultimately.
Yeah, so she wrote Perception, and she wrote and his wife Amanda wrote Romancelvania. So clearly knows what they're doing.
She did a good job. The writing in this is great. The voice acting, hit or miss. Like the graphics, you can see the in-game graphics don't look bad, but like the cinematics look pretty awful. Like the character models are bad. The character models are not lip synced with the voice acting. Their mouths just kind of move and the voice acting just plays. Like there are certain tells that show that it was a Kickstarter project, that it didn't have a big budget. But I would argue this is one of the better Kickstarted games I've played. I've played a lot of them, and most of them end up either broken or junk. This one is neither, but it's still probably what you would expect from a crowdfunded game.
I think you're going to see some of that expectation broken with things like Sea of Stars and Ayuden Chronicles going forward, though.
The bar is going to be raised, for sure.
I guess some would say Star Citizen, but they broke that again this week. So.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Even the new version, the world doesn't exist anymore. They can't figure out why.
Oh, my God.
Like the elevators keep going below the rest of the world into the void, and they're like, no. I was like, oh, well, I guess we're not doing that anymore. No, so I've had some good stuff come out of Kickstarter here and there, but a lot of it is.
But even like Shenmue 3, this game's better than Shenmue 3 by a mile, like by a long mile. But here you can see, you can also, it can be guys with guys, it can be girls with guys, girls with girls, whatever, however you want to combo it. You can romance whoever you want in this game. But I did not find most of the characters to be all that interesting. Their writing was interesting, but their actual backstories and stuff like that weren't. Because again,
they do seem pretty stock, like
pretty much
horror monster things.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it is. It's like you're playing as Dracula trying to date other horror tropes, essentially. And they do play on that a little bit. There's a little bit of...
And the Medusa stuff is clever.
Yeah. There's a little bit of breaking the fourth wall in this as well.
I bet there's some Hades influence here, too, in terms of modernizing like an old style thing.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, because all the Hades characters are ancient Greek gods, but they all kind of sound like modern teenagers to some degree.
Look, they don't nail this, Matt, but it's close. And it shows, but it is. Like, it shows that these are two genres that a lot of people would have been like, what? You can't mash those two things up.
The Jersey Devil, yes.
But it proves that you can. Like, two genres.
There's got to be a dating game out there where you date cryptids, right?
Where you what?
Date cryptids. Like
cryptids.
Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and the Jersey Devil and the Chupacabra. That's a thing, right? That's got to be out there.
Not yet, but maybe that's the sequel.
No, that's got to be out
there. The Jersey Devil's already in this, obviously. But Minority Games asks, is this better than Lords of Shadow 2?
Is there a mouse stealth sequence? Because that's kind of the defining
There's
factor.
not.
Okay, then this is probably better.
I mean, this is... The actual Metroidvania part of this game is pretty paint by the numbers. You have that little, like... bat that follows you around. It's almost like a mag from Phantasy Star Online. It doesn't really do anything, though. It like shines the light on the path, and I'm just like, that just means that you didn't light your level very well. Like instead you have this little thing that follows you around.
Dating cryptids is a whole subgenre in the dating sim.
Oh.
There's Cryptid Crew, Cryptid Coffee House, Bigfoot Dating Simulator, Mothman Dating Simulator, Cryptid Crush. Yeah, I knew that was already done.
Kongrim 1, this is an indie game? Thought it was Konami. You'd be forgiven for not knowing which was which, that's for sure. So I guess ultimately, do I recommend this? Like, I ended up playing, again, I almost finished this game, and what made me quit was, I had waited all game to get the double jump. Because again, as you're going through this game, you see all these levels, these areas you need the double jump to get to. So you play the whole game like, when am I getting the frickin' double jump? Like, where the hell is it? You get it at, like, the end of the game. And so I got the double jump. I started going around and, like, going to and I just burnt out. I was like, I'm good, I'm done, and that's where I quit. So I waited the whole time to get the double jump, and then once I got the double jump, I didn't want to play it anymore. I was done. So as far as, like, should somebody buy this and at what price? Like, I would... If you're a big Metroidvania fan... and you want to try something new and play something new. And again, there are upgrades, as you can see. That's like an upgrade. There's a Hadouken in this. Like I said, there's like tongue-in-cheek humor in this that like breaks the fourth wall about gaming a little bit here and there. And you actually do the Hadouken just like you do in Street Fighter. Like quarter circle turn forward and a button. But so if you're a fan of like Metroidvanias and you haven't played one for a while, Metroid Dread was a while ago now, and you're looking for something new, because there's never been a Metroidvania like this. That's one thing I can promise you. Then I would probably maybe spend $20 or $25 on it. Otherwise, this is one of those games you wait till you see it like a Steam sale.
Is that how much it is? 25?
I think it's 30, actually.
30?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but I would, honestly, like, for most people, $10, $15 max is what I would spend on this. The writing is funny, and the dating stuff is kind of interesting, but most of the time you're just playing, like, a lowest common denominator Metroidvania without anything really special to it. Basically, you're playing a knockoff Castlevania. And the truth be told, it's not like we're getting Castlevania games from Konami anymore, so if you do kind of miss this aesthetic, it might be worth bumping up the price you'd pay for it, but...
Or just play Bloodstained.
Yeah. Yeah, which I loved. And I did think about that a lot, especially comparing, like, the powers that you get in Bloodstained compared to this. It's like a different league, dude. Like, I get excited by the powers in Bloodstained. When I get a new one, I'm like, oh, hot damn, I can't wait to try this. And this one, you get a new power, you're like, that's kind of annoying to use. Like, I'm just going to go back to the sword or the pole. And that's pretty much what I used to get through the whole game. Like, there's one, like, bat attack that you have to use because it's the only thing that can attack vertically. But other than that, like, all the other stuff is just frivolous crap to use. So... I would recommend buying this at $10 or $15. If you're a huge fan of both these genres, then buying it at its retail price is, I can't remember if it's $25 or $30. Either one of those I wouldn't pay. But
it's $25 on Steam.
Okay. I got this sent to me by the publisher. I didn't have to pay for it at all. But I thought I saw in the paperwork that they sent me with it that it was $25 or $30. So it's $25. I would not pay that for this unless you're a gigantic fan of both. And you're, like, really jonesing for a knockoff Castlevania fix. And one thing I would argue is I don't think it spoofs Castlevania enough. It should be right for it. Like, it should just be one Castlevania joke after another. It's not really like that, which is kind of weird. And the dating stuff, it is kind of frivolous. Like, the decisions that you make or whether you end up pissing off, like, one of your potential suitors, none of that really matters. It doesn't change the outcome of the game, really. It doesn't change, like, what levels you go to or what you can and can't do. It doesn't give you an extra power-up. There's really very little incentive to romance one character over another, other than maybe whatever happens in the ending of the game, which I haven't reached. But in the moment-to-moment gameplay, it doesn't really affect anything. So it's just kind of a fun little diversion in between all the Metroidvania action. So there you go. That is Romancelvania. And before I move on, I want to make sure I share all the platforms it's coming to. It's coming to PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, not Xbox One. Again, another game I mentioned where they dropped the Xbox One version, and Switch. And it's $25, but I would not pay that. I would start looking at it when it drops to around $15, when you see it in a Steam sale or something equivalent. So there you go. That's GameFace 334. But before we go, we have something very important to do. And that is... That's right. It's time for Name That Game, where I show you a screenshot, 5 screenshots from a video game, and you try to guess the name of the game. And you're trying to guess it before this guy guesses it. You guys win all ties, so if Matt guesses the name of the game, and I look over and the name of the game appears in chat, you'll get the win. If you do win, you win a free video game. A couple caveats before we get going. One, if you can't play PC games, and you have no interest in gifting a PC code to a friend, then please don't play. Because it is a PC code. And so if you can't do anything good with the PC code, just leave it for somebody else. And the other thing is, we set the chat to slow mode, which means you can only put one thing in chat every 60 seconds. So don't just start spamming the chat with random game titles hoping that you get one right. If you do that, it's not going to work. Only your first one's going to go in. You have to wait another minute before you can type in another one. So make your guesses count. With that, I think we're ready to go. The last 3 weeks, Matt, have they got it on the first image?
Yeah.
3 weeks in a row.
I think so, yeah.
So my only goal here...
to make it to 2.
...is to make it to the second image. And we'll see, because I'll be honest with you, this first image probably gives away more than I should have. So we'll see how it goes. So we'll see if we can make it past the first one this time. Although I will say the last 2 screenshots are pretty obvious. So I don't think we'll make it past 4, but we'll see. So anyway, it's time for Name That Game. Here is the first screenshot. Arbiter Zach, I never got your message. I'll go check Twitter, though. I was wondering where you were. I'll check it as soon as I get out of here. Slagathor got it already.
Fallout 4.
This is crazy. You guys are so good. That's crazy. It's Fallout 4. Slagathor got it. The first guess.
First guess.
First guess.
Look at that.
That's insane. You guys are just too good. I think we have to change it, Matt. What do you think I can do to make it so we're getting through the first image?
Pick more obscure games.
Yeah? Is that it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think lean into the 32-bit era a little bit.
Okay.
Throw up some Saturn shit.
Some older stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I might get the Saturn stuff.
You will. Yeah.
But like, I mean, like, go and I mean, you put up Rising Zan Samurai Gunman, and no one's gonna know what that is. Come on.
By the way, Slagathor wasn't the only one that guessed it.
No, everybody. There's a
JJ Forcebreaker also got it. He just came in a little bit later.
Once they said that, I was like, oh, like there's something about the junk on the ground texture that like I was like, oh yeah, that's the Fallout.
So here's the thing. So this screenshot in particular had foliage. So if you look on the far right there at the top, there's one little scraggle of the foliage because I had a feeling that if anyone saw the foliage in this, they would know instantly that it was Fallout 4. And so I was like, all right, I got to make sure that's out there. I'm just going to have a ground texture with a shadow. Surely, no one will get it from that. Wrong.
I mean, it's a game that people have spend 30 hours looking to the ground. So
I guess you're right. Here's the second image.
Oh, yeah, that would have been...
That would have given you Fallout 4?
For sure.
I thought people would guess Resident Evil 4.
No, it doesn't look good enough to be Resident Evil 4. That is a modified Gamebryo forest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the New England look. Yeah, I would.
You would have got it from that.
Yeah.
Here's the third one.
I would have known the guardrail.
So I left. Well, it's not a guard. Well, you didn't know the guardrail.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's a little vehicle to the left there, and I only included I think about this stuff like you wouldn't believe. Like every image meticulously I frame.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely
think about all this stuff. And it's never good enough to throw people off the trail.
I would definitely know that guardrail is Fallout, and then I would guess.
I figured the little car on the left would be the giveaway.
I mean, that is too, but I see the guardrail first, and I know it's Fallout, and I would assume it's Fallout 4 because it looks too good to be Fallout 3.
Okay. And then here's the fourth screenshot, and obviously each one of these I try to make it more easier for you guys to get. So here's a rusted old car. And you can see the gas pump.
The gas pump
would have given it away.
Yeah, for sure.
And then here's the dead giveaway, obviously.
Right, the garage with the
dog and
with the dog in the power suit.
Yep. So Slagathor, here's your round of applause for winning.
There you go. Do 2D games and name that pixel.
Seriously. You guys are just too damn good. It really is crazy how good you guys are at this. Like, it's impressive, man. It's like, I don't expect anything less, so that's 4 weeks in a row, a month straight of people getting it on the first image. So I got to switch something up. So next week, I promise, there's going to be a twist. We're going to do something different, or they're going to be games that are like only Matt and I even know exist. But once again, great job, Slagathor. Send me a DM. I know you're on Sifted all the time. You can send me a DM at Shane on Sifted, or you can send it to us on Twitter, which I should have apparently checked. I'm sorry that last week's winner hasn't got his code yet, but I'll check it as soon as I get home. Or you can DM Sifted on Twitter, at Sifted Games. I'm Dinfire on Twitter. Or you can just send us a DM here on Twitch. Any of those work, Slagathor. I know you very well. You're awesome. Congratulations. It's always good to see longtime supporters win this. And we'll be back next week. I'll try to do better. That's all I can do. All I can do is try to do better, Matt. And I will try to do that with next week's episode. Okay, we'll take like 1 or 2 questions. Because, again, Matt and I still have to record Spoiled for The Last of Us. And we're almost at the end of our normal time anyway. And, again, I'm going to try to grab somebody out of chat that doesn't ask a lot of questions. We haven't answered, like, their questions. So, if you're someone who watches the show every week and you've never had a question answered, put it in chat right now, and we will answer your question. We want to make sure that everybody is getting their questions answered here if we can. OCD Master 1. I don't know if we've ever answered one of your questions, but it's not very common that we do, so we will answer yours. Question for Matt. Any other funny updates on the state of Star Citizen?
I mean, other than we're approaching, like, 12 years, not really. Like, basically the last update added all these new problems, and they don't seem to know how or why it happened, and they're having trouble squashing all these new bugs that made it I mean, it was pretty playable as, you know, from an alpha standpoint. Like, you could go to a couple of different planets and do missions and trade stuff, and kind of it was it's not a full-fledged game, but it was more or less functional. You only fell through the elevator and died every 10 times now. It's like, but now, well, their last update just broke it hard.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
How is the game not done?
Because they just keep adding more shit.
Ever going to be done? Do you think that the plan is to just never finish it and just keep dragging people along?
Probably. I mean, I don't think if you keep adding new features, how do you finish that? I mean, even Squadron 42. I mean, that thing was supposed to Squadron 42, the single player game campaign. The Wing Commander thing, which is the thing I backed in the first place. That was supposed to hit alpha 3 years ago. In the fall, and there's nothing. They've been put out regular updates about it, but it's just like, okay, we made the bartender smarter. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah,
like,
what are you doing?
Like they motion caption shot did all the voice acting and stuff with Mark Hamill and Malcolm McDowell. I'm like, all these people are gonna be dead by the time this comes out.
Yeah, what the hell?
Like, it's ridiculous.
How are they rational? Do their fans not question them? Are they not holding them to account?
No, they're kind of a cult at this point. They're making the game that a lot of these people desperately have wanted their whole lives, and now they're old and they're in their 50s and 60s and have a disposable income and do not care. Like, they're like, I'm going
to be dead in 5 years. I might as well just throw this money into the hole.
Man, like, I'm literally saying, absolutely, there are posts sometimes that are like, was just diagnosed with terminal cancer, and I'd like to play this game before I die. Is it going to come out in time? And they just never get an answer. There's people, like wives, that come on saying like, hey, I'm trying to get my husband's account. He died, and I'm trying to like find something to do with the account. Is there a way to give the people the ships or to sell it? He
spent like $40,000 on this thing.
Like there are people that are, this thing's been doing this for so long that there are people dying off that backed the original Kickstarter. It's bizarre.
It is bizarre.
So like, what are you gonna do? But no, I mean, I don't think. Do I think it's a scam? No, I think it's just ineptly managed, and it's never gonna come to fruition. Like, they need a Rod Ferguson to come in and say, this is getting cut, this is gone, this is out, finish this part, get this done, get it out the door. But no one's ever gonna do that because they have no reason to, because they keep making money.
Right. What incentive do they have?
Yeah, they're making millions, and they made $500 million.
I mean, that's probably what's gonna happen, right? The money's gonna slow. And then maybe that will convince them to get their asses in gear and finish the game?
Maybe.
Because then they're going to need it to actually make the money to sell the game finally?
I don't know.
It's crazy. How did this happen? How does this happen? They have found a grift, basically, where they are just extracting money from these poor people. It's almost like a televangelist. Like,
it's a very similar phenomenon.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Although at least there's an actual alpha to play on this one as opposed to a televangelist, which gives you nothing.
Right, you get nothing. Yeah.
But it is similar to sort of like just ordering supplements from a podcaster kind of thing.
You're right, though. I mean, maybe we should sell supplements.
Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I would love to play the game that Star Citizen is trying to be, but I just don't think it's ever going to be it.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah. Okay, there you go. That's your one question. Sorry, we got to go, people. But
what'll come out first, Starfield or Star Citizen? Starfield 3 will come out first before Star Citizen.
That's a good question, Obi-Wan. Well, anyway, we got to get going. Before we go, though, everybody go to creamls.com. That is where you can learn everything about LS Cream Liqueur. It is awesome. I have taken it to parties. People have commented on it without me even bringing it up. I just hear people talking like, what is this? It's delicious.
You hear what is this, and you're like, oh, they opened the LS Cream.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Go to creamls.com. You'll learn all about the person who founded this liqueur. He is a sifter. He is a gamer. I cannot think of a better person that you should support out there. Again, go to creamls.com. You can find a store locator there, or you can just go to Bevmo and search for LS Cream, and it will pull it up. You can get it delivered. You can find out where there are local Bevmos near you where you can go and pick it up. However you want to do it, get on the LS Cream. Thanks to everybody in our chat. You guys were awesome. You guys were really a part of the show today. This is the sweet spot for GameFace for me, is getting you guys involved as much as possible. You guys make the show better. And so I want to keep trying to do that as much as I can. Thank you guys for participating, staying in our chat all the way to the end. We really appreciate it. And I do apologize. We're ending the show a little bit earlier than we normally do today, but I think you guys will feel it's all worth it when you get to listen to Matt and I's spoiler cast for The Last of Us.
It's only like 7 minutes.
What'd you say?
It's like 7 minutes early.
Well, maybe a little more than that, but not much. You're right. The show is longer than I thought it was going to be. I'll put it to you that way, like they always are. So again, thanks everybody. Everyone have a great week. We'll be back here next Tuesday at twitch.tv/SiftedGames at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, head to patreon.com/sifted and give us a pledge. You can pledge whatever you want per month, and there are tiers there where you get specific rewards and all that kind of jazz. It's a lot of fun. Head on over there and help us out if you can. So we'll see you guys next Tuesday. GameFace is up and out.